Okay. Go. We should be live. I will set this part up while we are getting to the... while we're letting people get in here. So, let's fix this. Make sure the chat is actually up and running. There we go. That should be that. So, then switch this over to live instead of top. That way I can see all comments. Let's get the first poll up here, and I already have a list for that. So there. Let's do. I know I got that. There's a couple in. That's unexpected that it's making it onto the list, but it showed up, so we're going to talk about it. Bam. I think that's right. Let me number all these. All right, surprised that worked as well as it did, but there. All right, what's up? All right, got the chat going. That's right. I marked on myself with that pen. Okay, chat's up, so it's working. First poll is up. Everything's set. I kind of hopped in here to try to guarantee that I got as close to 10 as I wanted. I kind of hopped in here before I really had everything lined up, or before I even actually had a battle plan, if I'm being 100% with you. That cannot be right. I just looked at the folder for the... Oh, I see why. Okay. So my folder that I put all the thumbnails in to tell me where to tell me what videos I still need to edit. That folder got messed up, and accidentally from my phone I had to take a couple of pictures, and I ported a couple images over, and so now that folder claims that there's 85 videos waiting to be edited. That is not true. That is not right. I'm gonna have to go through this list of all these pictures and figure out what actually belongs here, because that's not right. Last I checked, we were down to about 58 that I still had to edit, get cut and everything and put out. So somewhere around 58. That's give or take. It's questionable. It depends on how many things we discussed, what we talked about, how serious the conversations got, things of that nature. We'll figure it out as we go. So the channel update is a little wonky. I do know, this is how far behind we are in the editing process for how we're doing this. I just started cutting the chapters for 11/17/25. We're so far behind. I am gaining ground, but it's a real thing. We are behind. Let me shut this. It's actually better in here than I was expecting. Yeah, I've got a couple of actual pictures planned too, but I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to get to those. I'm setting up the setting up an area in the garage to be able to take a couple pictures that I specifically want to take, like more. I take a lot of pictures that are just like me messing around, but I have one in mind that I want to actually focus on and get a really good shot of. And I'm going to have to kind of put in some ideas as to how I'm going to get that to work. Otherwise, I think that is pretty much it channel update-wise, I think. Yeah, I think so. Otherwise, I think I have a couple main topic videos that are set to be done as well, but I'm not going to look those up. I think I have 5 like topic videos that are going to be aside from all the chapters that still need to go, still need to be done. Looks like currently we're only 3 minutes. We're at 50-50. Let me look at this and figure out where we currently are. Just started. There's not a whole lot of people that have shuffled in or anything like that yet. And because I haven't been able to be as consistent as I would want, some of that does come down to it being my fault. If I'm being perfectly honest, this should be a show that films at an exact time every time, and sometimes we're in at 11, sometimes we're in way earlier, sometimes it's a Saturday night. So it should not be that random. I should make it a point for it to be like a Sunday morning 10 o'clock thing or something like that, or Sunday morning 11, or maybe Sunday afternoon. Sunday is the easiest day, but we'll figure that out as we go. What Storm Arena did I get? Not the one I expected. I put a couple of them on pre-order, expecting that one would show up first. It did not. Other one showed up first, so it's right there. Should I say who he is? It's a he. It's not Chun-Li. I thought my first was going to be Chun-Li, and that would kind of show me how the line works. It's not Chun-Li. It is Dan Hibiki showed up first. That is the first one that got to me. I don't know when the others are supposed to be coming out. Basically, I went on, I looked through Storm Arena, and I put a bunch of them so that, because if I got the first one and I ended up not liking it, I would just go back and cancel all the pre-orders. I didn't figure that would be a big problem. So it was like I put Charlie, Dan, Chun-Li. I think those were the three that I tested the water with. I just clicked them and said whichever one gets here, which I was kind of hoping would be Chun-Li. Would that be my first jumping in point? It is not. Looks like it's going to be Dan Hibiki. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a mild story about Dan. I guess I have two, to be fair. But if he gets picked, we'll talk about him. But he's going to be our jumping in point for testing Storm Arena, which will be interesting. What's going on? I voted Storm Arena, so I'm down to see you open whatever. He's good. Chun-Li isn't till the fourth quarter. Dan is supposed to be later this month. So Dan came early. I've had Dan for at least two of these shows now. Like two of these shows. He showed up, and Storm Arena was set to be in the last live, but it did not get voted. And now it's over there. I have it. So he's already missed one vote this month. So interesting. I got him early. Nash is later this month, which I'm starting to wonder about that. It's 26 right now. Like, and as it stands right now, there's a lot of April stuff that does not seem to be dropping. Like, a lot. That's actually what I'm looking at right now, seeing if anything was sent to me. No, there's no packing notices. There's no shipping notices. What's this? That has already arrived. Yeah, wow. It just surprises me. Like, dude, toys, man. Toys is the weirdest shipping date market I have ever collected. Ever. Ever. It doesn't make sense to me. Look, when we talk about toys, I'm not trying to, like, be, but, like, we got to be honest about something when it comes to toys. And I'm going to look at this right now. I'm going to go look at it right now. I want to be sure before I even say this, but it looks like I was supposed to get Combatants Fight for Glory, Cassia. I did not get her. She has not shown up. She is set for April. Yeah, April. It is the 26th now. So it feels like that's not going to make it. I was supposed to get Bernice. No. Berenice? I'm not sure how you say that. She was supposed to be April. That looks like a no. Necron was supposed to be April. That looks like a no. Lobo is supposed to be April. I think I got a notice for Lobo, so we'll see. We're supposed to get Nash, which I believe his name is Charlie Nash, if I'm remembering right. He was supposed to be April. Looks like no. Like it. So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures that were supposed to show up. That were supposed to show up here in April. That look like they're going to get pushed back to May. That's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of wild how bad the street dates really are on toys. And then I just got notice last night. Was it last? Yeah, it was like yesterday morning or whatever. That the Black Widow Quicksilver 2-pack, which is supposed to come out, it's supposed to be here in May. It says arrival in May. That I got a notice that it's already been shipped. So it's probably going to get here in April. Like, the reason pre-orders are difficult for toys, the reason you need to be careful when you get into toys and you start making pre-orders, is because the street dates are unreliable. They're not real. They're not realistic. They are a rough guesstimate, maybe. And then it's not handled very well either. If I get a book, I've been doing this for a couple of years now. If I order a book like the Conan the Barbarian omnibus, and it's like the 7th omnibus, and it says that it is coming out on May 15th, it won't ship on May 15th. It'll be at my door via Amazon or anybody else, even UPS, via my door. It'll be at my door on that date. It'll be here. If I order a video game, and unless it gets delayed, which does happen, but there's a notice for that things have gotten delayed. It'll come, and it'll be here usually on the day. You can get in your car, know when the next Call of Duty is. I don't play those games, but you could know when the next Call of Duty is. You can get in your car, know the drop date, drive to the store, walk in, say, hey man, Call of Duty, and they'll be like, yep, we got like 40 copies or whatever. And they give it to you and you buy it and you leave. You got it. It had a street date. It blows my mind how the collector's market on toys has so much leeway. They'll say, own the new Superman movie on May 15th this year, blah, blah, blah. It'll be in Walmart that day. Like, you can just go there, and it's just there. You can order it on Amazon. It'll be at your door or whatever. You could just go get it. You can just go get it. It's not a problem. You just go get it. But, like, it blows my mind how toys just get this weird leeway. Like, this big leeway. They just kind of go, April? And then you go, awesome. And then you put your money in and you do up your tallies and you make sure all your stuff is right. And you go, okay, this. Got all my money set aside, blah, blah, blah. And then later you're going, I feel like I remember budgeting something. I should have like $200 less than I have. That's very weird. And then if you mess yourself up and you go, well, I have the money. I can handle this situation. I'm going to go pay this thing or do this thing. You go do it. Then all of a sudden a week later, 2 months either before or even after when the toy was supposed to ship, then you get a notice that says, by the way, we took like $80 out of your account. And you go, what? You have to be careful because street dates on toys, they feel like lies. they're rough guesses at best. At best. And I don't know any other collection market that runs like this. Like, I really don't. And then, if you're online and you order something via Amazon, you order Lizard Man, and Lizard Man comes out in May. I actually don't remember. Maybe he does. I think he does come out in May. Who cares? Irrelevant. He comes out in May. It'll say, hey, this guy comes out May 26th. He'll be at your door May 26th. But then, while you're waiting for that drop date, you can go to a random Walmart or a GameStop or a Target, and it'll just be on the shelf like 2-3 weeks before the shipping date. When you go to buy video games, there are some people that have codes that they get the game early. They get the game early, okay? That's not the argument I'm making. What blows my mind is that this can't happen in like video games. If a video game is set to come out, we'll use that date again, May 25th. There are not people already reviewing the game in April that just went to the store and found it. They just went to the store and found it. They just found it. Just found it. Big Bad tells me that I will get Brandon Rolfe in May. I'll get my Superman Returns in May. But I never got that order because I went to a Walmart and he was just there. He was just there, so I just bought him. Whatever, cool. I bought him, got on my phone, canceled my pre-order, moved on. I like that I can do that because then if I do find him somewhere else, I can just get him and whatever. And I don't really mind waiting. That's not the issue. But toys don't have a planned release market. They really do not. I have worked in logistics almost my entire life. When we have something like this that is supposed to go out and it's supposed to be done at a certain time and it has a shipping date, a month beforehand, we are usually packing boxes, getting things ready, setting them off to a side, getting a temporary bay, or packing trucks in advance. The truck's packed, the shipping bay gets ready, everything gets set, the temporaries get logged, everything goes into the EWM database. We log that, we check it, we give ourselves a date. That's a full week. Day goes in on Monday, items come in, out by Thursday. If we have to do whatever we have to do, like I was at my company this weekend because now we've reopened some of the shipping stuff to the Midwestern routes and and Midwest routes in general, and things like we're now shipping back to Dubai, which we weren't doing for a little while, and now that we're doing that, the lines increased, and they said, hey, the lines increased, we need this, it has to go at this time, there's e-tags, blah, 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 you will be here, I'm working on Saturday, I'm working on Sunday, I'm working on Monday, I'm working overtime, whatever. That sucks, but that is what it is. Toys don't seem to have this. It's like they don't prep in advance. They get everything ready, and they're like, hey, we just got a bunch of toys. Great, start shipping them randomly. Okay, put all this on a boat. It's going to go here. It's going to ship, and it's going to go into these trucks. It gets sorted out into the temporaries. Then it gets sent off to the places. And Big Bad gives you a notice that says, hey, we're expecting this soon. But then it might show up like a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. Who knows? That is not a street date. It is not planned. If a microwave is supposed to hit stock and it's supposed to be in the store and it has an exact date, April 27th. And April 27th is the date. Unless there is some sort of major pushback, which happens across the entire line for all operation. Not just like, hey, sorry guys over there in Wisconsin, you don't get it this week. It'll be there next month. We're expecting it soon. Doesn't work that way. There's a release date. They ship them. They hold them. They put out a metric. Like a lot of the stores like Walmart and stuff like that have the games and the movies already. But there's a store date. They get them. They're usually there a month in advance. They populate that inventory. They move it in. They bring it into the system. They log all that code. Then they know that it's going in J15 or whatever. They put that in a temporary bay, and then somebody stores it the night of or the day of or whatever on April 27th to give it a day, and they put it out there. Toys just goes, we have 50,000 units. Great, ship them randomly. I think it's because I've done what I've done for as long as I've done it that the toy shipping dates confuse me. Because, as I've said, I have worked logistics for years. Like, I started logistics at XPAC when I was 18, I think. Maybe 19, or so close in between those two that it, you know what I mean? Like it was real close. I think I worked it till I was like 20, and then I've been in and out of the shipping and logistics departments of warehouses and multiple different things for years. I've worked Brazilian freight, I've worked air traffic, I've worked all kinds of stuff that deals with shipping and all different kinds of e-tags and stock tags and non-revenue and Brazilian and freight and air. And like, I've never seen toys. Like I've worked in a lot of other things, never toys. I've never like shipped toys. I never shipped toys, and not on a scale that I could actually make the reference and like understand what I'm saying. So I don't get it. I don't understand street dates for toys. They confuse me greatly. I cannot understand it. I cannot figure it out. I don't. I can't. I'm sorry. It's got to be because I've worked it as long as I have and done what I've done that I can't figure out. Like, is there no planning management? Like, I don't get it. The street dates are suggestions. They're not actual dates. All of that is to say, if you're making pre-orders, watch your wallet. Be careful. Double check your accounts. Make sure you're not screwing up, because they come out when they come out. You better have the money. You got my Dan a week ago. I have all the PlayStation 1 Street Fighter stuff from them and the Baki stuff. Sagat is a wild value. I did pass on anything that I already have. I already have a Ryu. I passed on Ryu. I already have a Kin. I passed on Kin. I know they're alpha. I know that's the pre-stories. Certain characters will get my attention. I don't need a young Ryu and an old Ryu. As far as I'm concerned, I have Ryu, I'm happy. I don't need a young Kin with long hair and an older Kin with shorter hair or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I could get one or the other, and I would have a Kin, and I would be happy. I don't care. However, Chun-Li, that's different. Dan Hibiki, that's different. Like, he's not in Street Fighter 2 era Jada stuff. So I'm definitely going to go and get from something else. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go and get it from Storm Arena, which I did. What is happening? There. I could not get it for the life of me. Okay. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's do the first one of the day. Let's do it. Dan Hibiki. This guy I have a weird history with. A history that shows how the times have changed. Okay? So let's put this out here, especially if you're going to be listening to stories, okay? How do I put this? this is one of the chapters. If that's the way that you watch my show, that's fine. I'm 42. Let's get that out of the way immediately. Okay? I'm 42. It was a different time. We spoke a different way. We had a different attitude. I'm not saying that I have not grown up. In fact, that's the reason I'm stating this now. Because I don't know that this is necessarily insulting. I really don't. But, like, I'm going to talk about gay people, I guess, is the best way I can explain it. Not, like, explicitly or in a nasty way or anything like that. And I almost feel stupid about, like, I'm about to say, I have gay friends. That's a weird thing to say because it very much makes you sound like you're about to say something you shouldn't say. I'm just trying to set the context here of how the world was different. When I first saw this guy years ago, I did a kid thing. I was young. It was the first one that I ever seen him in. It was one of the alpha games. And I remember my friend asking me who Dan is. And I remember telling him that I think he's the gay fighter to kind of show you that, like, he's a badass, but he's also proud of, like, who he is and who gives a you know, he'll whoop your ass even being gay. I remember that being, like, the explanation I gave this guy. That's what I remember. That's as negative as it's getting. But I wanted to put context before I told you, because it's a different world now, okay? But I remember thinking that's what was going on here when I first seen this. I didn't know. That's what I told my friend. Then I started looking at him closer. Little time goes by, and I'm like, is he supposed to be Steven Seagal? I don't like that. I don't like Steven Seagal. To put that into context, I have never, ever liked Steven Seagal. Ever. My whole life. From the first time I seen him, the first movie I seen him, the first time I seen an interview, through my whole friggin' life, I have never, ever liked Steven Seagal. Something about him rubbed me the wrong way for years. I do not like him. So all of a sudden, little time goes by, and I start looking at this guy, and I'm going, is he supposed to be Steven Seagal? I don't want him to be Steven Seagal. I hate Steven Seagal. Then, a little more time goes by, and I start realizing I've been winning a lot of fights with him. Like, I liked his 3 kicks that went across the screen. I liked that I had to time out and plan his Hadokens, because I couldn't just throw them across the screen, so I had to learn how to close the gap and everything. So I would learn to close gaps and things like that and do the rolls and whatnot. And then, like I said, little time passes, and I figure out, 1, he's not the gay character. That was ignorance. 2, he's not Steven Seagal, or he might be. Just give me a second here. 3, he's the worst character in the game on purpose. This was an actual revelation to me. I did not know this because I was winning fights with him. I was stomping on my friend group with Dan Hibiki. Only to later on, as I'm looking through internet and everything, starting to figure out, wait, he's the worst guy in the game? And he's the worst on purpose? No wonder my friends don't want to play this game with me. Like, that was actually the moment that I realized, in real time, I was good at that game. Like, I'd always had an inkling, and I knew that when I used Cammy, I was really good. I was winning the college tournaments. We have a university around here, and sometimes they will hold, like, college like these college gaming tournaments where you'd go out to campus and everything, and it'd be like a little event, and they'd open up the gymnasium, they'd have TVs and stuff like in there, and they'd do this like event thing. And that was actually pretty cool. I went to a couple of those, and I won a couple of them using Cammy. But I never put too much thought into it other than I'm pretty good. I did not realize that then I was going home and playing with my friends, and I was beating them with Dan Hibiki, which I didn't even know was like an insult. I didn't know that I was like stomping them with the worst character. And that's like something you do to kind of like flex on, flex on your friends or whatever. But I didn't even realize I was doing a flex. I was just playing the game, and I liked how Dan fought. And I would lose every now and then, sure, but I won most of the time. Then I would go to other characters, and I would just we had like a rule. There was like 4 people playing. If the controller went around the room twice and you had not lost, you passed the controller. We kind of had to make that rule, and part of that rule was like my fault. Because I'd run the room 2, 3, 4 times over before somebody beat me, and then they'd usually beat me because I was playing around. Like I was like having fun. I was like, I'm going to try to win with just these moves or whatever. And so like we had a rule that if the controller rotated the room a couple times, the person who was winning would also pass the controller so that everybody's getting good at the game and everybody's playing. It was fair. It made sense. That's the way we played. It's kind of wild to me looking back on it now to know that that rule had to be created because I was winning consistently with Dan Hibiki. And now, to roll it back, I said that for a while I started thinking, is this guy supposed to be Steven Seagal? And then I started saying, I don't want him to be Steven Seagal. And then I figured out that this is supposed to be the biggest joke character in the game. And that got me thinking later on, is that on purpose? Does he kind of look like Steven Seagal, like a caricature of Steven Seagal? And he's actually, for all his boasting, the worst fighter in the game? The worst fighter in Street Fighter? Is that on purpose? Do I love Street Fighter a little bit more because maybe they were calling out Steven Seagal all those years ago? Can I prove that? No. Does it sound plausible now? Yes, I think that it does. I have a feeling this was an underhanded little jab. I can't prove it, but it sure feels like it. You see what I'm saying? So yes, I have a long sordid history with all of Street Fighter. History that starts as far back as like 10 years old or something like that. Is it even earlier than that? Oh my gosh. Because I was born in like 84. And I'm thinking about it now in Super Nintendo. I was easily playing Street Fighter 2. So yeah, I was around like, I may have been like 8 or something like that when I first started playing Street Fighter. I may have been 8. I'm 42. There's been a lot of time to grow up, examine, change, and like overall be a different person than I was when because like some of the stories that I tell, I'm going all the way back to 12, 14, 15 years old. It's kind of wild, but ever since I changed my YouTube to talk about toys, collecting, and all of this stuff, I've been able to really dive into my past in a weird way. Because, like, I talk about things like this, like Golden Axe. And when I talk about Golden Axe, I'm talking about Sega Genesis, like 1991, 1992. I'm talking about memories from, like, 8 years old, maybe. I get to talk about like when at 10 At like 10 to 13, we used to meet up in my neighbor's yard where he had a picnic table, dump our toys on the table, everybody would pick, and we'd go play guys. Like, it is wild to me, the memory stuff I get to dive into because of the way the show works now. And I really get to examine just how different I am, the world is, and like how wildly cool that is sometimes. Nostalgia's one thing. Sure, it's fun. But I really love the idea of exploring your history, knowing where you were, where you are, what's better, what's worse, what you've lost, what you've gained. It's cool. And weirdly enough, Toys does that for me in a very weird way. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like this hobby, this thing that we do, is way deeper than we let on. Way deeper than we let on. It really is. It's kind of wild. This is my first Storm Arena now. Dan Hibiki of The Dan Hibiki Show, with special guest Dan Hibiki, starring Dan Hibiki, with co-host Dan Hibiki, talking all things Dan Hibiki. Let's open Dan Hibiki. Is there some reason I like to say his last name? I don't know, that's weird. Well, I was not expecting it to be that simple. When I open things, I've kind of gotten used to the idea of like, how do I phrase this? I've gotten very used to the idea that like when I go to open all these figures, I've got all these twisty ties and everything else going on. And I've always said, I've said this in multiple videos, if you were going to go through the process of creating the plastic coffin, just create it and just put the figure in there. You've already got him in there. He's in there. Just let him be in there and just let me take him out. Just let me grab the figure and take him out. Like this is perfect. You just take him out. Why do they not do this with all figures? Am I missing the point? Is it fun to cut the little twisty ties? Is it fun to actually have model snips so that you can open your toys? Is it fun to go into the wire in the back and like twist it and untwist it and then like push it through and then pull it out the front and then go to tear him out and then realizing that there's a bunch of tape on him and then taking the tape off and then go to pull him out and then realize there's a little tie around his foot like a peg and you got to turn the thing over and then pull this up and then clip this and then the hands have fallen out of the case because you remove the tape? Like, is that fun? Am I the only one that's not having fun in that scenario? Why are we doing that? It's weird. That packaging, and I know this feels probably like it's off topic, but I think it is. That is a plus immediately in Storm Arena's favor. Immediately. I prefer to open a figure like this 1,000% over opening a Motu figure that I've got to like turn over and then pull the little tabs and then cut them and then I push them through. And I hate all that. It's ridiculous. I know I've opened probably well over 100 toys on this show now, but like there are times that like opening a toy it's like a 20-minute process. You're sitting here cutting things and moving stuff and like why is it got to be like that? Why has it got to be like that? And I notice it when I go back through and I edit now because now that I have to edit, I have to live those parts twice. Because I'm like, oh, the sound just cut off, so now I got to go in and like clear this thing and like cut this and remove this part so I can make the chapter. It's ridiculous. I am crinkling everywhere, I'm sure, but I'm trying to get this out of the bag. So there's this. This. I'm sure this isn't overly complicated. I mean, it can't be that complicated. This looks like one of those, is this one of those, is this going like this? Is that what we're doing here? There's no directions that I see, but I imagine this is probably this. I imagine that's what's going on here. Then I imagine this goes here. And then maybe this goes there for whatever. I'm sure that it goes like this, not like this. But it's got a stand. Like I said, I don't see any directions or anything like that, but it can't be that complicated. But this very much, I'm pretty sure this is one of those waist grabs, like, do they call them doll stands? Like Barbie stands, doll stands or whatever? I have a couple of these actually for like Superman because, in fact, oddly enough, there's one of my doll stands right back there because it used to go to a 1/6, but then I got rid of the 1/6 because I don't really collect in that scale. And now I actually keep that for Superman when he, like, when there's like a couple Supermans I have that have like the really hard, like the capes, the rubber capes. And I can make them fly, and the stand is more sturdy. I kind of like those doll stands. I just do. I like them a lot. I think they're very reliable, and I think they work very well for a lot of different figures. They do take up space. That is an issue. It's not like a McFarlane stand where it's like a little peg and you put it down. But those also will never hold a figure up, guaranteed. Like those doll stands, you put those down, that figure stands up, period. We're done. Like the weight is all bottom and everything. They're good stands. They do cost money. You don't see them. So it is kind of interesting because this seems like it's a mix of two different kinds of stands that I have used. It looks like it'll be sturdy enough. I don't think that I'm going to have any kind of problem with that. And I like that it's giving you options as to how centered or how back or whatever you want to be with this. And it is interesting. It's cool. The fact that I got a decent stand with a figure, a flight stand, a kickstand, a stand, that is decent level quality with a $40 character, that is impressive. It's impressive because we're watching time and time again where stands do not come with figures like Marvel Legends and things like that. They just don't. And if they do, you have to pay like a premium price to get it. That's wild to me. And then if you have to go buying stands aside from that, you just have to like go buy some stands. They cost a premium price. Stands are a real pain in the butt when it comes to all this stuff. So let me move him here. Let me take out all of his stuff. There are those, and there are those, and I can get rid of that. Okay, we have a mess of hands. They are female hands, okay? So that means all the stuff is going to be on the wrist. The peg is going to be on the wrist. It's not going to be on the hands. Sometimes I prefer that the pegs are on the hands because it makes fixing, like if the peg breaks on the hand, it's usually not a big deal. You can pull it out of the wrist and you can replace the hand or whatever. When figures use the peg wrist, if that breaks, it's a lot more difficult to fix, and sometimes it can cost you the figure completely. That's not a deal breaker. I'm just telling you what kind of hands they use in general in my first impressions. But yes, they use the female hands. This like a little Hadoken thing right here. These might be expression hands right here. And then he has this, which I actually think it's cool. It's that thing right there. I kind of like that. And he's got it for the other side as well. And one could also argue that this is for the slap action Hogan, that thing. So you could make that argument. I see the bottom peg here, so that's good. Are these two different size Hadokens? What? Okay, hold on. That is wild. It's not... You could use this for other things because this comes off. I was not expecting this to, like, come off. I thought this would be one piece like Jada. It's not. It's two pieces. That's pretty cool. The hand is in there, and then this part goes over it to form that effect. And then you can, like I said, you could pull this part off if you wanted. I was not expecting that at all. That's pretty cool. That's neat. That's real neat. This hand is like... This hand looks pegged in. Can you have this hand? If so, that's even crazier. Okay. Okay. All surprises so far. Pretty cool. Very solid head sculpt. We have the screaming face here. It's good. It looks very good. I like it. I like it quite a bit, actually. And now let's see him, shall we? Move the legs here. All right. Here he is. Good head sculpt, good design, nice form, stands solid. He doesn't really look up that much, but how many figures really do? I think that's kind of normal. I mean, you can get him to look up. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying, like, the ponytail, it does move out of the way. It rotates because it's plugged in right here. And then I imagine this ponytail is the same. Yes, they both plug in, so they move and get out of the way. The bang is its own part. It doesn't seem like it plugs in. It seems like it's part of the head sculpt. That's not a bad thing. That's fine. All the movement is under the gi, which is also fine, because the gi is definitely, it's a separate part. It sits on top of the figure. So if you were to take this off, he would have like a muscle shirt and whatnot. Pretty cool. Oh, I just popped the thing, but that's not a bad thing. Gives me a chance to look at the ball peg, actually, right there. He's got decent... Oh, this is interesting. He has an upper torso movement and a lower torso movement. He has the ball joint right there, which I just showed you where I popped him off by accident, but it didn't hurt anything. And then he's got something underneath. So he's got, like, under here, he's got the upper articulation right here under the gi, and he's got that lower movement. So this guy, he will have no problem doing sit-ups and taking all kinds of poses. He has that neck joint that people are starting to really like. You know, the one that we're just now getting in Marvel Legends, and people are like, oh, he's got that double neck. Yeah, that's not new, Marvel Legends. In fact, strangely enough, you've been doing that with your G.I. Joe figures for a couple of years. For some reason, you are way behind in the articulation scale. I don't know what's going on with you, Marvel Legends. I love a lot of your figures, but it's time to start playing catch-up to the lines you produce yourself. It's weird. It's weird, right? Otherwise, we've got full splits and everything like that. Oh, he's got drop hips. Okay. His hips do a drop down. I wasn't expecting that either. This is good. He's got that toe articulation. You put his toes up, which I know that sounds like it's not a big deal, but if you start posing with a lot of these guys, that can be a lifesaver. Because it's one thing to have the ankle pivot. This little movement right here can be a big deal in terms of creating running or just like stance fighting or whatever. It really helps. It really does help. Otherwise, I kind of like the way they're doing the arms. I don't hate it. It's the double joint, but it's different. It's I don't know how you would explain it. I would call it like a dog bone bend is the best way I can explain it, because it's got it right there, and then a split, and then there's this one solid piece. It reminds me of like building Gunpla. That's actually what it reminds me of, or like the way that the joints are handled when you like build the Bandai Dragon Ball Z figures, the model ones. That's what he's reminded me of. His knees, however, I guess they're also the same thing. And I kind of like how they decided to keep the texture inside the knee. So when you actually do that bend, he doesn't lose any of the texture. The knee still does look weird, but I think that's just kind of like part of figures in general. I'm not really complaining about that because there doesn't seem to be a perfect way to do it in terms of figures unless you were willing to literally build the entire thing as seamless bodies and have everything built underneath of them. So, yeah. I'm noticing that it's not just pink. There's like a wash or something, or maybe the light just really, really works with it. It's hard to tell, but no, that's definitely darker. It's pink, and then it's running down into other colors. I can't see them very well, but I can tell that it's happening. And if I can see it, then it must really be a decent effect. That means other people are probably really seeing some details here. These are good. I'm not seeing that he seems like he'll stand perfectly in terms of alongside all my Jada, which is great, which means that I can do exactly what I've been planning to do. I want to fill the gaps. At this point, I'm Jada in, okay? I'm going to finish the Street Fighter II line Jada. That's what I'm going to do. But Storm Arena is going to fill my fighting game stuff beautifully. Because this guy, he'll stand right along the Jada figures with no problem. He'll look like he will look like he belongs there. He'll fill out my other rosters that I don't have. He'll be able to fill in areas that are missing. Darkstalkers. I know we're going to get Darkstalker stuff. I want us to get some Fatal Fury stuff. That would be cool. Or some King of Fighters stuff. Like, I think this line is going to help me fill out a fighting game space of figures that's going to be really, really cool. I do. I think I'm going to finish Jada as to where it is. There's like 2 figures left. I may as well go for broke. There's no reason to turn around now and start being like, oh, well, I better buy all these guys. There's no reason for that. I have a Sagat. I know people are praising the Storm Arena Sagat. I still don't see it as a big enough upgrade for me to give a reason to like switch. I have one. I'm happy with it. I have no reason to get the other. It's just I'm just not worried about it. But it is very cool that this is going to open up a window to get like I'll be able to add Darkstalkers. I'll be able to add, dude, wouldn't it be cool if they got their hands on like Samurai Showdown? That would be cool. Like, Storm Arena is going to become the plug-in for a lot of material. I know that. Like, as they expand, as they go, as they move into fighting games, and because I already have the main roster of fighting game stuff I want, I'm safe from the biggest fear of jumping into Storm Arena. And that's because with Storm Collectibles, they were not finishing lines. They would start, then they'd jump all over the place and make a bunch of everything, never actually finish the main look, main game, or main line of anything, and then lose the license or just move on. Storm Collectibles was doing that. If Storm Arena does that, I'm not worried about it. Because I know that through Jada, I will finish the Street Fighter II line. I'll have everything I need. I won't need anything else. And then, everything I get from Storm Arena will just be an expansion of my fighting game line. If they never finish the Street Fighter Alpha Wave, who cares? The ones they give me will go over there to my arena, and they'll be there. That's fantastic. If they never finish Darkstalkers, hopefully I just get at least 4 or 5 main characters that I really love. They'll fill in gaps. If they get their hands on something like Soul Calibur, I'll take a Taki and everything that they want to give me. The greatest thing about this is that as long as I have the main basis for my fighting game world, that is Street Fighter II, and as long as they stick at the scale they're at, everything they give me from this point on is a plus. And even if they don't finish the line, which they're famous for having done, it won't affect me at all. Everything they release will just be, that's cool, get it. That's cool, get it. Boy, I wish I could have got this, but they never made it. Oh well. That's awesome. That's awesome news. I better keep my eye on them, see how they're selling, when they're selling, and to make sure that I'm in there to get my hands on it. But yeah, that's a good figure. Dan Hibiki is a solid figure for the shelf, for the collection, and it opens the door for Storm Arena to start making its way into the show. I can now mark Storm Arena off of our list, and I am going to set up the next vote, go let my dog in, and be back to talk on the chat. So, let's set this up. I just did those, so we are on dang it. All right. Let's set that poll in motion. I'm going to go let my dog in, and I'll be back to hit up the chat. There we go. Lay down, baby. I hear the sirens. They're pretty close to us. Doesn't look like anything's going on, though. Okay, let's see where we are. So far, everything's tied. We're only at 1 minute. Let me go up and start seeing what people are saying. Doop. Oh, there it is. I got the "Your Fig is on the boat" email from Big Bad Toy Store about Nash 2 or 3 weeks ago. We should be getting an update any day now. See, I never even got that. I never even got that. Hello, Bill. Heard there's a PlayStation DRM update where your digital games get deleted within 30 days if it ain't connected to the internet and you're playing it. So, first off, I will reference you to an old video that I did that you should go watch if you want my actual opinion on how I handle game collecting at this point. And it's called, I think it's actually called "Game Collecting Was the Biggest Mistake of My Collecting Life." I had a very certain way that I collected games. It bit me. It cost me a ridiculous amount of money, ridiculous amount of time, ridiculous amount of space for no real return at all. And I am still dealing with the fallout of that all the time for multiple reasons. I have been robbed 3 major times and lost a ridiculous amount of games, some that weren't even mine, because it got to the point where this was the house where everybody was coming over to play video games, so people started leaving. They knew that I had the big game collection. They just kind of added it in there, and they'd be like, hey, I'm going to leave these 2 or 3 PlayStation games or whatever. I'm going to leave these Super Nintendo games, whatever. They would leave them. Well, after 3 major robberies, half of that stuff is gone. And then some of the other stuff that I have left, like I've never been able to replace some of the stuff that's disappeared. And so that's a whole sore spot for me. So I heard this news, and I don't love this at all. Yes, from what I understand, it is true. On the new system, and by the way, I had to, when the last time I signed on, it made me go back through the user license agreement and whatnot, which basically I believe is you saying, yes, I agree with this. If you don't agree, you don't get to play, so there's that. They have you. Sadly, video games is in that spot. They have you. There's 2 choices now. 1, understand where the market is. I'm sorry. That is where the market is. And for people that are saying things like, oh, I'm just not going to do with PlayStation anymore, I'm going to go to Xbox, or I'm going to go to Nintendo, or I'm going to... This is the digital market. These are the steps they're taking. This is not an isolated incident. We've been moving in this direction for a very, very long time. We are now crossing the threshold into the end game. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It is where we are. I don't love it, but that's the facts. You just look at the history of where we were and where we are and how digital games have went, and don't give me this isn't what we want crap, or we don't agree to this, or we're not going to pay for it, or yada yada, or we're not. Look, if we didn't like DLC and the way the market and the way the video games worked, we as a people, as a collective people, okay, because that's important, look at the numbers of how much DLC sells. Look at the numbers of how much digital things they sell as opposed to how much physical they sell. Look at the stores that are no longer selling enough merchandise in the physical collections to where stores are starting to say, we no longer want to carry that. We would rather spend it on movie space and things of that nature because the video games aren't selling. That's because people are buying digitally. It's a market that has been ever growing, and they knew that, and we knew that, and yet we still bought into it. Convenience was king. We made that decision. Even if you didn't, we did. As a collection of people, the majority put their money into this And this became the main market. And just like music, this is where we are now. I'm not saying you can't go get a CD or whatever. But let's be honest about the situation. If I was to walk down the street and kick in every door, I would, chances are, in 20 houses, I would maybe find one CD collection. Maybe. And that's a pretty big maybe. That's where the market went. It's where we are. It's where we are. It's the end of it. There's no changing the fact of it. Games started moving that direction a long time ago. We knew that. We understood it. In fact, if you were in consoles, you were probably still buying physical games. But a lot of people that went to Steam and went to computer and things like that, we haven't owned our games in... I don't remember. I'm trying real hard. What was the last computer game I owned physically? I went to the store. I bought it. I had a physical copy. I put it on the computer and I played it. What was it? I had Final Fantasy VIII physically for the computer. I had Diablo 2 physically for the computer. That's it. That's it. I cannot remember a game after that ever. Everything else I ever bought for PC, the whole time that I ever played on PC, was bought digitally. Either from like battle.net or just like literally off their direct websites, or I bought it off Steam or the Epic Games or whatever. Like it hasn't, the physical thing has not been a thing for a long time. But I have always known, even after making that decision, the reality of the situation is that if something happened and like Steam went down, if it went under, what's the chances, like, because I know people will make an argument here and they'll be like, well, but if you downloaded all your games physically, I'm glad you have the space to do that. I'm talking about the average person. The average person maybe has 2 terabytes at best on their PC. That is average. And going from that point, the average might be lower than that in terms of people having personal storage. So the reality of you downloading every single game when most of us probably accidentally accumulated a 200 plus game library without even thinking about it. You buy things off Humble Bundle and things like that. Or you just, Steam has sales all the time. Like, I think the last time they had a sale, I bought like 10 games and I literally bought them for under $50. And they were all games I couldn't wait to play. I was just like, oh my God, $3, $4, $10, what? And just got them all, put the $50 in, was thrilled. Yes, it's so cool. Okay, well, by that point, at 200 something games, I can't download all of them. I don't have the space. I'm not exactly running out to buy space. If Steam as a market collapsed tomorrow, do I lose all my games? Chances are I do. Chances are I do. In the back of my mind, I have always known that we were moving in this direction. Always. To have Sony put it in black and white. Listen, we'll basically hold on to your purchase for 30 days. If you don't check in, blah, 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 we're going to kill the game. It doesn't work, yada, yada. You are renting your games. Well, I hate to break it to you, but we've known about that on physical discs for a long time. When's the last time you played a Bandai game? Because there were a couple of Gundam games, physical, I had on disc that I had to agree to a user's agreement that said, you are purchasing a license to play this game, you don't own this game. That's on physical discs. I've had Dragon Ball Z games that did it, Gundam games that did it. I've seen sports games that do it. We've known for a very long time that this is the direction it was going in. We're here now. We're here. They have thrown the gauntlet down. The rest of the market is going to follow it. And the rest of the market, most common buyers have already followed the process of becoming digital owners anyway. I know people that are in their 20s that get confused when they see this or they see that I have a movie and game collection because they're like, that just takes up too much space in my house. I have a little box. It's got 4 terabytes on it. I just put it all in there. I'm going to waste all that space in my house. I know many people that feel that way now. Many people. Regardless of how we feel about it. Your only choices at this point, because this is where the market is going, you're going to have to, it is what it is focus yourself on retro buying, buy the retro games that you like and play the games you like, or understand that most video games are an experience held at the time that you have them. I know game conservation and all that other argument. You're not a game conservationist. You're not. You just want to own the things that you own. That's nothing. I'm sorry. That's the truth of it. I'm sorry. Like, this is rough. I mean, it's big news. But it's not like we haven't seen this coming for years now. To see them say it out loud is sure one thing, but like, we've already had games where you have to be online to even play them, even on the one-player modes. We've had games that need to check in with an online service or do an update, or else they stop working. We've had games on physical discs that aren't even full games. They need a 30 gigabyte download patch day one to even function. None of this is new. We knew this was going this direction. So there's 2 ways to look at it. One, enjoy the games you're enjoying now with the concept of what they are. They're limited experiences that you will experience and then move on and play something else. Or 2, refuse to play the game and buy retro. I'm sorry, there's really no other part of the conversation to have. They have made the decision for you. Now you have to figure out what route you would like to walk. Because they put the path down. They're doing this. And if they don't do it today, if there's enough backlash that they go, okay, sorry, we're not going to do that. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They've already told you what they want to do. You know they're going to do it. You know that it is inevitable. You know that they own the market and there's nothing you can do about that. They have laid the path down before you. Choose what one you're going to walk. Me, as an older man, this sucks. However, I already own physically all the comfort games of my past that I want to play again and again and again. So this doesn't really affect me. Most new games, ever since I've been about 37, I play them, I enjoy them, and then they're done, and then I move on. And I play the next one. And I don't even think about the ones that I've moved on from. I really don't. That was a thing from my childhood that I loved when I loved it. I still go back and play Shining Force to this day, but I own that game. I play Street Fighter 2. I own that game. I play Turtles in Time. I own that game. So this doesn't really affect me like it's going to affect people that are in the market at a younger age playing right now. But it's here now. It's here now. We're playing the game the way they want us to, and you're going to have to choose what path you want to walk. That's what I got here. Go watch that old video. You'll know where I sit with video games and the reason that I may have a mentality that you don't hold. I love watching folks discover just how good Storm Arena figs are, and they are good. Absolutely. Ooh, G.I. Joe 1? Okay. Let's set this up so that I can go and catch myself back up, because that video game topic, this is not a video game show, but this is a really, really big landscape changing, sweeping thing. Like, this is not like a small deal. Like, this is going to change gaming. But I'm sorry, this is kind of the direction we really have been moving in. And if you didn't see it moving in this direction, I don't know how you missed it. Okay, this is a little tricky. I know I have him sitting here, which I don't know much about him yet, but I have him. And then I know that I have... Who are you? Oh, that's right. There's that. Get out of my way, guy. I need to see who that is. Oh, my. Okay, I know that. And then under that... Oh, cool. There. And we'll see what comes of that. Do not fall down. What's up? Not sure how useful it is, but the fireball splits apart. You could tell I don't really read the comments when because I try real hard to like be in the moment. But I do love that I get the info, because sometimes even in those I won't figure it out myself. The hand can come out. Wonder what that... You're doing the stand correctly. It's actually a great stand. It looks like it. It looks like you got a really decent one. It really does. That blue hand disconnects from the effect and slips loosely over the wrist. That's wild. So you can put that... I was wondering about that when I was looking at it. So that arm does come out, and that's cool. Reuse fireball comes apart too, and you can slide the front part over a fist for a quick and easy punch effect. That's cool. So we got multiple effects with the same fireball. That is awesome. Have fun using your phalanges on everything. Wow. Calm down, Juggernaut. This is not Deadpool you got there. I really like the finish on the figures. Everything is super matte, and it makes it look more premium than it actually is. And I can get behind that too. Yeah, I didn't say anything about it, but like, because of the way they put the finish on the figure, I mean, I know it's plastic, but like Marvel Legends, and most of the time this does not bother me, but Marvel Legends has a tendency to like look shiny. And sometimes that can be very off-putting to certain people, especially if you're going for a certain look. Like if you look back there, a third of the shelf like is shiny. Like it's shiny. And you can notice the light like kind of reflects off of it. But you don't really get that with like him. Like that matte finish really helps him to kind of not necessarily reflect the light, but kind of absorb it a little bit. That is kind of cool. It very much comes down to a stylistic choice as to what you like. But it makes sense. It does work. It's cool. Yeah, the Marvel Legends team is starting to now catch up, but still have a way to go. For example, they still need to implement articulation in their animal characters going forward. What is that about? They released like an eagle, which already exists in the other line that they own, and they give it no articulation. They release an owl. That's just a static thing. They released a falcon. That's a static bird. You already had an eagle. Change a part or two and make it a falcon. That's very confusing to me, how they could be so far behind in something that technically they're already doing in another part of their building, quote unquote. That, and start using soft good wire fabric too. Yeah, I'm a little... If McFarlane can afford to do it, and all these other forms, like Jada releases a bison that has the flowing cape, and you're telling me that we couldn't get that on, like, you know, Odin or whatever. Like, why can't we get a flowing cape? That's really weird. And I refuse to believe it's just a cost thing. Something feels weird about it. Like, because how can everybody else afford to do it? Got Storm Arena Chun-Li on pre-order. Same. Looking forward to getting that when it drops. Waiting on Killer Bee and Morgan Lilith from Darkstalkers to go up on pre-order too. I want that like crazy, of course. I do want Morgan and Lilith, of course, I do. And I would like Felicia as well. And I like that vampire girl that has, I can't remember her name right now. But yeah, I want those. But that Killer Bee, I need that. A Killer Bee, absolutely, I need that. I would love to get all of the dolls. That would be really cool. I got a bad feeling about Darkstalkers. I just don't think that roster is popular enough outside of the obvious femme fatales. You're right. You're right. Even I just did it. Even I just said, who are the ones I'm looking for? What did I name? I named the girls. Why? Because I think it's the most probable, realistic things that we will get from the Darkstalkers line. We'll be honest about it. Storm Arena is a company. They want to make money. Those will be the first characters. Then they'll try their luck with things like the werewolf and the vampire. And if it doesn't work, they will move on quickly. So, I agree. I don't think Darkstalkers will go the distance. But what they're willing to give me, I'm willing to take. I don't know, the current slate of Darkstalkers offer is looking pretty solid so far. You have Morgan, Lilith, Felicia, and Victor. I can see Victor selling because of how unique his design is. That might be fair. But I do think that there is something to be said for what he's saying here, because, like, who really knows or still plays Darkstalkers that didn't, like, grow up with it? Like, if you were like, hey, Darkstalkers is coming out, like, how many people, aside from, like, the old heads, are really asking for it anymore? Like, nobody puts it on their top list, like fighting games I'm most hoping that they release. Like, you don't see Darkstalkers unless it's an older guy's channel. It is kind of an obscure property at this point. I'm hoping they do well. All the characters have such cool designs. I'm just not sure that's going to be enough to finish the line. Obviously, the Darkstalker females will sell, yes. But as long as those sell, they'll help the other characters from the roster. Yes, but how long... I guess if they did it right, maybe they could do a girl and then put one of the guys out, and then a girl and put one of the guys out. But how long before they put the third guy out and it blows up in their face and they don't sell the guys and they're sitting on inventory, that they just decide to do the girls and move on with the line and be done with it? Like, that is a tricky IP. I would argue that is a very tricky IP. I actually wish Storm was doing Darkstalkers in the regular scale. They pack those with more heads and accessories. Darkstalker cast is super expensive. I'd want as many options as possible. I can get that, but I'm definitely not buying in their original. I have a couple of figures from Storm Arena in that scale, mostly from back up. We're not doing that right now. Mostly from the Golden Axe, and then if we're not talking about Golden Axe, I have like Taki and stuff like that. But for the most part, I don't really buy in that scale because they don't match a whole lot of anything that I have. So then they end up standing on their own. Like Tyrus Flair is like a giant Amazon. She's so much taller than all the other figures I have, and she kind of looks weird. My only real markdown for the arena stuff is the lack of options I wouldn't mind paying extra for. That's fair. But then I guess I don't have enough to complain. Like, I don't feel like I'm missing anything with what I just bought. You know what I mean? Like I bought him. I got 2 heads. I got him somewhat stoic. I got him screaming. Maybe it would have been cool to have like a laughing and a smiling face because we know that he hangs out with Blanca and Sakura, and we know that he's in there like showing him how strong he is. Like, yeah, look at that. I'm so tough. My dad was tough and I'm tough. Like, you know that he's got that show-off mentality, always acting like he's bigger than he really is, and that's fun. And I would argue that I would have liked the same for Cammy. I would have loved a cute, super smiley face, and for her to have come with a kitten. Because that is part of her character that oftentimes I notice people don't like, they don't know. They don't know that she's like a super serious like assassin that was manipulated. Well, I mean, she's a clone of Bison, but we're not going that far into all the stuff. But like, you know that she's an assassin that was brainwashed, that was built to do a certain thing, that has a destiny where she is supposed to be deleted so that Bison can transfer his soul over and then use her body to continue using power until he moves on to another. And we know that. But like, once she then joins the special forces and she gets saved and she becomes her own person, she like really loves cats and everything like that. And she's got like this cute personality that's kind of hidden under all the seriousness. Because she's always about mission accepted and, you know, I've done this and real serious fighting. And then like she's got like her special move. Other people have special moves like it's a big Hadouken or whatever. Or it's like a huge uppercut. Or it's like, but like she kills you. One of her special moves is she does all those kicks and comes down on your neck, puts her 2 hands, and then breaks your neck and kills you. Like she is not the same as some of the other fighters. But under that, there's like this weird little sweet hidden part that never gets talked about. She has like this little girly phase and she gets super excited about little cats and everything like that. That's cute and it's funny and it's different. It's so cool and I like that to be part of her personality, but we don't really get those parts with Jada to be able to make that happen. We don't get a cat. We don't get like a smiley little cute face or anything like that. And we have the same thing with like Chun-Li. Chun-Li has this like little girly celebration she does sometimes where she wins, where she gets really excited, she jumps up and she spins her head and she yatta, like, but like we didn't get that head and we didn't get that hand or anything. I think it released in a special version, but like you have to pay extra and buy the figure again to get those options. I would agree with you that I would be willing to pay extra to just get a deluxe out the box right off the bat. This is what it is. Here's the 5 heads, the little side piece. Like that would be, I would pay that. I would do that. I've been waiting for anyone to do 1/12 scale Darkstalker figures, to be honest. I was thinking or hoping that Jada would do them, but I'm happy with Storm doing them now. I'm hoping to complete this roster is all. Okay, we are at, really? Man, you know how many times he has, like, he's been in this show and been up on the chopping block many times, and he has never won. No. Flint, we're going to fight, man. You know, you go right there, Flint. You know that. Stop acting like you don't. You're not special. Okay. Snake Eyes. Again, a repaint. Desert Snake Eyes. Who cares? Bill cares. There are certain characters that transcend the line they were built in. That is truth. There are some characters that are iconic. people that have never watched G.I. Joe, never read G.I. Joe, and never cared about G.I. Joe, know Snake Eyes. He is one of those kinds of characters. And for me, that is true. Not as much now. I am actually just starting to read the Larry Hama comic book run. So I'm starting to expand my Joe knowledge, I guess. But immediately expanding into my Joe knowledge, the very first things I started reading, because Larry Hama's favorite character is obviously Snake Eyes. Sure is a lot of cool Snake Eyes happening in those books, which is making me like Snake Eyes even more. Call it favoritism if you want. That's kind of what it is. It's writer's favoritism. But like, hey, they did it right here. There's something very cool about the combat ninja. It's just cool. And then he's made even more mysterious. He doesn't talk. He's probably the most deadly person on the team, to the point where other characters will sometimes reference that they don't want to mess with him. I'm in the books right now where literally they all got jumped at this one point and they almost lose, and then you don't really get to see what Snake Eyes does, but they're in there cleaning things up, and one of the guys says, "What happened to this group of guys over here?" Because like they fought off a bunch of Cobra or whatever, and he says, "Oh yeah, that. I think that was Snake Eyes." And they're like, all by himself? And he goes, "Look, I think that thing that Snake Eyes carries around in his boot should be against the Geneva Conventions." And I'm like, what did he have? What did he have? What was in his boot? Like, I'm sitting there reading and looking at the paper and seeing that there's like 15 guys in this corner as opposed to the other guys that are scattered around and whatnot. And I'm like, and then evidently Snake Eyes took that whole side of the room with whatever was in his boots. That literally scared the other Joes so bad that they were like, I don't even think he should be allowed to have that. What do you have? This dude is amazing. And he's very much got main character energy. I mean, look, I'm sorry. And it can be as cliche as you want it to be. And you could call me as basic as you want to call it. I get it. I have my stories with G.I. Joe about the characters I like the most. Okay? I had 3 main G.I. Joes I played with, 4 the most. I had a Snake Eyes, which I absolutely loved. I had a Dice, which I still have today. Look at his wobbly arms. Woo! I had that Tiger Ninja. I can't remember his name right now, but I had him. And then my most played with Joe, my favorite Joe ever, was this Cobra Eel version 2. And we've already talked about him in multiple videos. I've told you the story about him and how he got his storyline and why he was my most used G.I. Joe. But when I knew nothing about Snake Eyes, he was one of my favorite Joes. Played with him all the time. Later, I saw a movie, and I was like, well, Snake Eyes is the coolest friggin' thing in the movie. Then later, I started reading a comic, and I'm like, well, Snake Eyes is easily the coolest thing in the comic right now. I'm relatively 15 issues in. I am gaining an understanding and love of other characters that I never knew anything about, though. Like, now I'm starting to like Stalker, so I wouldn't mind having the classic retro card for Stalker. I think that would be cool. I would put him on my shelf now that I know what he is and that I like him. Other characters like Grunt and whatnot, I know who they are, but like I don't care. Like, they're there and they're cool and that's fine, but like they're not blowing my mind or anything. You see what I'm saying? But like I'm kind of starting to really like Stalker. So I kind of want him on the shelf now. So I know that will happen as I read. I will discover things that I like about G.I. Joe that I never knew that then I'll like even more. This dude just crosses the boundaries. So when people go, why would you buy another Snake Eyes? We've already got like 5 of them. In fact, I have Snake Eyes that looks like he's from the comics and cartoon series. He came with a polar bear. I have the first Snake Eyes that was released in the classified wave. I have the Snake Eyes that was released with Timber. I have the Commando Snake Eyes that was released with Timber. I have Desert Snake Eyes. I have 5 Snake Eyes. I could do a top 5 countdown, Joe's, with Snake Eyes right now. So the answer, it's just a repaint. It's just a Yes, it is. And I'm just putz enough to want it. I want it. I think that if you could call out one figure in all of G.I. Joe that will pretty much get me to buy, it's a Snake Eyes. Give me Snake Eyes with Timber, I kind of want it. Give me Snake Eyes with a bear, I kind of want it. You give me Snake Eyes in blue, I kind of want it. Give me Snake Eyes in black, I kind of want it. You give me Snake Eyes in this cool desert camo different look, I want it. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. Look, sometimes there are certain things that you will get me putz-wise. Nothing like this. If I had to name the 2 absolute toys that I'm a putz for, it's going to be Conan the Barbarian, it's going to be Spider-Man. Like, I'm not going to buy a bunch of Snake Eyes in other like forms that I don't want. I'm not going to buy mini Snake Eyes. I'm not going to buy Snake Eyes Pops. I'm not going to buy Snake Eyes in a larger scale. I'm not going to buy a Snake Eyes model kit or whatever. It still has to go with the figures that I want, because it's the scale that I'm buying in, and I want to be able to do the pictures and things like that. It still has to fit that scale. It still has to be right. So I wouldn't put myself in the same concept. But like, in terms of that scale, those figures, almost every Snake Eyes they have released, I've wanted it. I don't know how many there have been. Do I have all of them? After I open you, will I have all of them? I don't know. Is there a retro Snake Eyes? That's a real question. I need to go look at the Snake Eyes. I might have all of them. Okay. I'm not ashamed. From what I've been reading, he's the coolest character in the book. So I'm happy to have him. He's one of the main reasons I'm currently still reading the book, because I do have problems with the book. They're not extreme problems, but they are problems. And he kind of solves some of those problems. As much as he does create them at the same point. Regardless, let's open this guy. All right. So Snake Eyes comes with a flimsy sword. I mean, it feels like that's not very solid plastic. I mean, it's fine. It'll work. But yeah, it comes with another sword, which doesn't. I mean, it doesn't feel as flimsy. He comes with his Uzi gun. At least I think that's what that is. He comes with his handgun, his pistol. He comes with a silencer. He comes with this knife. He comes with this backpack because all G.I. Joes have to have a backpack. And he comes with this grenade belt. Oh, and this. And, for what it's worth, here he is. That's simple. That's all he is. That's Commando Snake Eyes. It's in desert colors. But you know what? When it comes to a property like this, what it's trying to be, what the property is trying to be, repaints of characters make a ridiculous amount of sense. It's one of the few lines where repaints actually do make a ridiculous amount of sense. If he's going to the desert, is he going to wear the navy blue? Or is he going to dress in desert camo to do desert operations? He's going to dress in desert camo and do desert operations. That's what he's going to do. This is one of the few lines where you could just continually release guys over and over and over again in urban camo, Navy SEAL camo, that like the blue camo. I don't know what the camos are specifically called. I just know what the desert camo, jungle camo. Like, you could actually do that with Joe's and it will make sense. It's one of the properties that you could do this over and over and over again and it will just like work. It doesn't feel ridiculous because of what these are. These are designed to be soldiers. Ugh, can't. Put your belt on there. Maybe I just put that on. Did I put that on wrong? No, I didn't, because the little back thing is right there. And by the way, that's what we're going to put this. I'm not going to put that backpack on him. Oh. This will work. It's a little tricky, but I'm getting it. That's one of the things that I'm noticing. Maybe I've got this belt on wrong. I love that the fact that all these figures now, like, he can carry all of his stuff. I really do think that that's cool, because, like, we didn't have that when I was growing up. I know this is something that I've mentioned in multiple G.I. Joe things, but, like, the fact that I could put all of his stuff on him and he can carry it, back when I was a kid, that would just be there. But it wasn't something you could actually use. You couldn't take that knife out. And he would have the gun, but you had to pretend that he had the gun. Like, it wouldn't actually be there. Not in the figure form to actually put in his hands anyway. He doesn't really come with anything. Like I said, he comes with his swords. Do I need him to come with anything else? Is this right? This is really flimsy. Is this right? Okay, that fit in there without a problem. This was giving me problems, so this he's going to literally hold. And I think I got this belt on there. It just kind of feels funny to me. He's a good figure. He's an easy figure. He doesn't blow my mind or anything like that, but I also don't think he needs to, because, as I said, what's the point of this guy? To be another Snake Eyes on my shelf? And that's exactly what he's going to be. I may even take this belt off because, like, it feels funny. It almost feels like it doesn't... I mean, I know it does, but, like, it doesn't feel right because it... I don't know, maybe I got to mess with it and kind of form it to him a little bit. But I like him. He's very simple. He'll work. He's got a sword. He's got his gun. I'll put the backpack away. I know that the backpack goes on and then the sword belt is supposed to go right there. I know that. But I kind of like the idea of having the sword just on his back like this. I don't mind that. I think that's pretty cool. We'll figure it out. I'll fight with myself a little bit before I actually put him on the shelf. Maybe I will put the backpack on him and everything because, like, then he's literally just carrying everything, and that there's something cool about that too. Look, he's Snake Eyes. I've wanted to open that Snake Eyes for a while now. But he loses every time of the vote comes up, he loses. So I haven't opened him. I've had that guy for a long time because of the way the show works. Well, finally, now he's open. Let's set up. I have that. One of those is sitting here. There. Let's see those. Did you like the Star Trek Resurgence? I wanted to go through choosing opposite paths as soon as I beat it. I loved that game. That is the way Star Trek games should be. I'm not saying we couldn't refine it. I'm not saying there aren't parts that need to be fixed. But I loved that game. Like, I loved that game. I've been arguing for a long time that they've done Star Trek games wrong for years. Star Trek is not that hard of a game. It really is not. In fact, they've already done it technically, and like we just never expanded on the idea. Star Trek video games work at their absolute best when they're built like Mass Effect games. They're story games. Star Trek, at its absolute core, is about making difficult... Star Trek, to me, if you're going to ask me, what is Star Trek about? Bill, I like Star Trek. I've seen a couple episodes, but like, what's it even about? Or somebody's like, I thought about getting into Star Trek, but I really don't understand what it is. I'll tell you what Star Trek is, because this is the way I see it. Star Trek, at its core, at its best, at its most basic, is a series of morality plays where in every episode we ask ourselves a difficult human question or broader implication. And not that we ask that, not that we solve that problem, because sometimes we don't, and sometimes our heroes don't even make the right decision. Not that we solve that problem that we ask, that we be honest about the situation. We ask hard political questions. We ask hard social questions. We ask hard human questions. We ask hard decisions like the Tuvix question. Is it right to murder Tuvix to resplit him back into the two people? Now, the thing that's great about Star Trek is that you can make the argument that Tuvix was an accident, he was never supposed to exist, yada yada, blah blah blah, and they need those two people to get home. That's a hard moral question. To get the two men back, you have to kill the one. But those two men died in a transporter accident, and one could argue that's endgame. They're died. This happens. They understood the risks. Now there's a new person here. And that new person, doesn't that new person deserve to live every bit as much as everybody else? But if you want to get home, you need the other two. What do? What moral ground do you walk on? That's difficult. Mass Effect and games like that are perfect for it. Perfect for it. That's how you do a Star Trek video game. You literally do a Dragon Age. I come across a situation, there's this happening, but at some point I need to make a decision. I need to side with one part of the morality or another. And I'm not asking you to make the right decision. I'm asking you to make a decision and then deal with the repercussions of the choice that you have made. I think that's interesting. I think that works. And I loved the way Resurgence did that. I think there's some refinement that needs to take place for that game to be perfect. But wow, that is a good game. I very much liked it. And I'm very much not happy with the fact that it has already been delisted and you can't play it. Because I think it has been delisted. Because me and Nick were playing it. We were almost halfway done with it. And both me and him were like, we're really liking this Star Trek game. And the cool thing about it is that games like this, usually they get 5 or so episodes. I wonder if there's going to be more. And then we went looking, and we found that there was a news article saying that it had already been delisted. Basically, the game is already done. That's a shame, because that game is fantastic. So if that's true, that's really sad, because I really loved that game. I truly enjoyed it. I'm probably going to play through it 2 or 3 times, making other decisions and whatnot. Right now, I've played it. Nick has played it. And my buddy Shane came over and he started playing it. And then he also very much is enjoying it. He wants to see the whole game through as well. So I really like that game. I think it's fantastic. I think that should be the future of Star Trek games. It makes the most sense. It makes the most sense. Of course! Last time Storm did Darkstalkers, Morrigan wasn't enough to offset Dimitri. Folks just aren't nostalgic for Darkstalkers outside of the girls. That's because, realistically, I don't love what I'm about to say, but let's say it. Darkstalkers, female designs, sit firmly in Gooner territory. What do people want? They want the hot, sexy Darkstalker girls. Well, what about him? He's a werewolf. I mean, sure. That dude's a mummy. Yeah, okay. Well, check this guy out. He's a vampire. Yeah, he's got a nice shirt. Look, you gotta hand it to them. They knew what they were doing when they designed the females of the Darkstalker line. They knew what they were doing. It's not a mistake, okay? It's not like they made Morgan and then later they, made another character like Felicia and they were just trying to kind of make 2 different cool ideas. They knew what they were doing. They blatantly knew the kinds of characters they were designing. And because of that, they got a very specific kind of fan base. Outside of the people that play it as a fighting game, you have people that saw a lot of Darkstalkers artwork. And even people that have nothing to do with that game will buy a Morgan figure, will buy a Felicia figure. People who are outside of that game, though, that see Dimitri, but they've never played the game. Do they care? I mean, I do think that's a big part of it. Darkstalkers animated series and Street Fighter animated series, Mega Man 2 got a Blu-ray. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, am I running out for that? Would I watch that? Would I watch that Mega Man again? I might watch that Mega Man again. I know why I would watch it. It wouldn't be for a serious purpose. Maybe that is cool. Storm is just not good with completing. Storm is just not good with completing with any roster outside of Street Fighter, period. I don't know the exact reasoning, but when you don't even complete the Mortal Kombat roster, that's worrying. And yes, that's exactly what I was saying. They do not finish lines, which really scares me. But for the Storm Arena, I have Jada to cover that. So Jada is going to finish the Street Fighter 2 line. We know that. So once they do, I have the basis of what I need for a fighting game. I have the complete thing. If Storm Arena then wants to pepper in things to give me a giant Marvel versus Capcom versus SNK 2 roster, okay. Give me some Samurai Showdown figures. Give me some Soul Calibur figures. Give me, just gimme. I'm okay with that. I'm 100% on board for that. I'm here for it. Let's make it happen. Because then I have the basis. Anything I put on top of it feels like I'm expanding my collection. But it doesn't feel like I'm waiting to complete my collection. I'm not sitting here being like, come on, you've got 2 left. I need this Scorpion. I need this Sub-Zero. I'm just being redundant, but you get the idea. Then all of a sudden they give you that Sub-Zero. But for some reason they've been focusing really heavy on the Mortal Kombat 3 line, which looks like they're about to complete it. But they give you Sub-Zero from part 1. Well, that's great. You now have a Sub-Zero. But you don't have the one you needed. They were working on finishing the Ultimate 3 line. But then for some reason they didn't release the one that you needed. And then they're like, oh, hey, we finally got around to that Liu Kang. Great. Because there's only like this guy left that I need for well, he's this version. What? Okay, well, I'm still going to get it. But I'm starting to worry here. Are we not going to complete this line? We'll see. That Mortal Kombat debacle is what made me go, probably going to stay away from Storm Arena. And for the most part, I did. They were the only guys selling Golden Axe that looked like it was worth buying. So I bought that from them. And I only wanted the 3 main heroes. I got 2 of them. I know I need to... Axe Battler is expensive. I need it at some point, but he's expensive. So I haven't got him yet. But for the most part, anytime that they've promised a line in the Storm in the Storm collectibles size range, I've been like, I don't think I'm buying that because I don't want to get 7 figures in, figure out that I'm a part of a 12-figure roster, and then watch you jump around all over the place and never give me what I wanted in the first place. I don't want to do that. So I've kind of stayed away from them. But this I think will work. This I think will work because Storm Arena can bounce around all they want now, and I already have the main line for the fighting game that I care about. Everything else is just extra fun. Hey Bill, you already own Spider-Man Noir? I'll be picking him up. Okay, I don't own a Spider-Man Noir. I saw that they released that Spider-Man Noir. Normally, they would easily get me on a Spider-Man, especially one I don't have. But there's a problem. I was looking at him. I'm fighting with myself on this one. You're going to have to let me know if I'm seeing things. he looks very cartoon-like. Am I imagining that? Because to me, he looks very cartoon-like. And I don't know how I feel about that. Most of the guys that I have on the shelf are comic book variant. That's where I kind of make my home. One could argue that kind of falls into cartoon, but it doesn't. It doesn't because they're the same people that are arguing when they get a lot of comic book looking stuff, and then all of a sudden they buy an X-Men 97 figure, and the first thing they do is they complain, it looks too cartoony to me. It's because it's a cartoon. I don't know what you thought you were buying. That's what you bought. I saw the old Spider-Man Noir, and he very much looks a little more real, and it kind of looks more the thing that I want, where this one, I heard that they were doing it, and I was like, oh, fantastic, I need a Spider-Man Noir. But then he kind of looks like the Enter the Spider-Verse cartoony look, and I don't know how I feel about it. Do I want that one? I don't know. Also, would it be better for me to buy a Spider-Man Noir that doesn't have the jacket so that I can just buy online a $20 1/12 scale black trench coat wireframe and give it to him? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to get me on this one. What's going on? Also, I got to be honest, I'm not sold on Brand New Day Hulk. Like you said in your short, Bill, he resembles the bad guy from The Mask. Dude, I've been having people tell me that they seen it first too. And now I guess I'm seeing like posts that are showing up on like Facebook and whatnot that like show him next to it. So I guess a lot of people seen what I saw. But like, I seen him revealed through a short where this dude was like, Spider-Man, MCU, Hulk, let's go. Finally, this has got to be the best Hulk we've ever seen in Marvel Legends, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, is he though? And then he immediately brought up this Hulk right here. The Maximum Hulk, and started being like, oh my God, this has got to be the worst Hulk we've ever had, ever, maximum profit, blah, blah, blah. But this one, oh boy, Mark Ruffalo, MCU, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there, and I can't help it. I just keep looking at this picture behind the guy. And he keeps pointing and being like, this is going to be so sick, blah, 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 it looks so good. This is very classic Hulk, the pants, the shirt, yada, yada. And I'm like, what is going on with that face? Like, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. And so then finally I got off work and I'm like, I can't be the only one that's seeing this, right? So I did that short and I was like, tell me somebody else can see this. Tell me somebody else can see this. Because what is happening? Yeah, that was wild. Okay, so let's do there's that. Oh, okay. There. Are they making an MMO for Star Trek? We don't already have that? I mean, I played the MMO for Star Trek quite a bit, actually. I mean, are they doing a new one? I don't know. We could certainly benefit from a new one, but I don't see why you wouldn't do a graphical overhaul of the one that we already have. Do like a major update. Because like that's already running and people are already playing it and there's already a lot of stuff happening and it's still getting updates on the regular and new chapters and episodes and whatnot. So like, I don't know. That's a fair question. I don't know if they're doing a new one. If they are, it would be in competition with the one that's already running, and I don't know if that's necessarily good for Star Trek or the MMOs at large, because it's very hard to start an MMO to begin with. And you really don't want to battle an MMO against an MMO, especially if you own both of them. You want a high player base. And so, like, I don't know if splitting your fan base Star Trek-wise between two of them would be a good idea. I don't know. Hey, I'll admit it. Who wasn't playing Darkstalkers for Morgan and Felicia? Because I was one of them. You're not. He's just a release of the Into the Spider-Verse Spidey Noir. The only new stuff is his gloves and the grappling hook. All right. Okay. So I was seeing what I was seeing. The previous Spider-Man Noir goes for a lot on the secondary market. Right, it does, which is part of the reason I don't own one. So I don't have a Spider-Man Noir. This is my only shot of getting one for a decent price, which I can 100% understand and get behind. 100%. It's been a while since I've seen anything about it. Thought it went defunct. It's Crystal from work, by the way. Oh, what? No way. Oh, wow. Well, that's cool. No, like I said, I know there is an I can't speak. I know there is a Star Trek MMO. That does exist. Is it by Cryptic Studios? I can't remember. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. It feels very much like Star Trek. It takes place during the fictional Klingon War that happens after the supernova. So at the splitting point for the timelines where the Kelvin universe was happening and old Spock has just went back in time, the Nova has happened, and you could play in different factions. You could play Klingons, you can play Jem'Hadar, you can play Starfleet, or you can play Romulan Republic, which are the refugees that are left after the destruction of the homeworld and whatnot. And it has all kinds of actual characters from the mythology with the original voice actors and really good storylines. If that's what you ever heard of, but then you never really got into it, that is a good Star Trek game for what it's worth. But in terms of a new MMO, I haven't really heard anything for a long time. I actually liked Superman Returns and thought Brandon was a great pick. I remember being so excited when the movie came out. Holy crap, dude. Absolutely. I, too, very much remember this. I remember, like, being super excited about Superman Returns. And then, I can't say that I was disappointed. Because I can't. We're going to give this till 5 minutes, and then because if this ends up winning, I'll just end up talking about this anyway. Because, like, I have stuff to say. Not negative stuff necessarily. I don't know. I guess I'll argue that point soon. Because there's things I really, really, really liked and decisions that I really cannot understand for the life of me that they made. Did I see the trailer for Clayface? Yes, I did. That's some body horror creepy shit. But I'm not against it. Here's the only thing I worry about. This is what scares me about this whole thing. Right now, we are at a very weird spot with DC. DC wants a DC universe. They have a Batman, which is already getting another Batman. But that's Patterson Batman. As far as we can tell, that Batman stands alone in his own universe and his own movies. Okay. Then we have Superman, which is leading into Supergirl, which is building a universe. Okay. Then we have Joker movies. We might not anymore because the second movie tanked pretty hard, but just stay with me. We have Joker movies. But they're a standalone universe that has nothing to do with any kind of continuity. They're just decent movies. Decent movie. That second movie's really bad. Then we have a Clayface movie. Is a Clayface movie another standalone movie? Is it part of the Superman DC? Is it part of the Patterson Batman? Does it do its own thing? Does Batman exist in this universe? Is he already active? Is this how we're going to do villains? Are we going to do a horror movie or a psychological thriller that then kind of gets the villain off the ground and then Batman will deal with it? But then that removes the idea of a mystery because Batman solves like mysteries and crimes and murders and things like that. But if Clayface is already doing this and we've already seen it all from his angle, we can't really do a follow-up Batman movie where Batman goes after Clayface because we kind of already know the ins and outs. So like, or is this Clayface taking us in the direction of Sony, where we have Spider-Man movies, but then the Spider-Man movies also have like Venom movies and like terrible movies like Madam Web and stupid vampire movies and Black Cat movies that don't even get made because they just knew better than that. But they're still making them. I mean, they're still making terrible offshoot movies like Craven. And nobody wants them because it's got no Spider-Man. And I very much get the idea of this. Clayface is part of the Guns universe, which is fine. But is this how we're going to do this? Is we're going to do like movies that introduce the villain and then Batman comes in, or is Batman in this movie, but we're not going to see it from his point of view? We're going to see like a horror movie and then Batman's going to take him out at the end, but then that wouldn't feel earned and it wouldn't make sense in a horror movie to have like Batman show up and do like a fist fight with a monster or whatever. Because like we didn't get to that point. We didn't follow Batman. We're not really here for a superhero tale. Like, it's not that I disagree with this. It looks like a good movie. It really does. It looks like it's creepy. It looks like it works. If we remember the original animated episode that kind of set this up, you know what I'm talking about? Like where Clayface was like this one thing and then the animated series said, let's do this horror episode and really make him this. And it worked. But like, while this will be a good movie, will we run into a problem later where we now have to fold this into the Gun universe and it will feel weird because now he's got to show up as like a bad guy in a Batman movie, but like now we're telling a superhero story and not... Is this going to cause problems? And will the general audience get behind the idea of the horror film that then leads into a comic book universe? I have no idea. I know it's going to be rated R. I know it's going to be, what it is. I know, Gunn said this won't be a superhero horror hybrid. This is a full-on body horror movie, which is fine. But, like, where do we go with it from there? I get the confusion because of how the front logo looks similar to the Batman's and the poster too. And then like he says right here, we also have standalone Penguin movies, shows, I'm sorry. It's Morbin time. So like, I think that all of this that I just mentioned, we're in it. We're guys that are interested. I'm going to go see it. But the average movie goer, will this be off-putting? Will this feel weird? Will they be interested in horror movies that then fold into action movies? You know what I'm getting at? I'm very curious how this is going to play out with the public. Because that's where this movie could be fantastic. We could go watch it and be like, this movie is amazing. You got to go see it. But then immediately finishing that, after we enjoy it, will then other people that are on the outside look at this like a horror movie, watch it, expect what it's supposed to be, and then be completely lost when he shows up later to fight Batman in another movie? Because, like, inevitably, as Clayface, he has to fight Batman, right? We have to go to that point. So you have to fold this horror movie into a comic book setting and let them do the fisticuffs. And if we do that, will that be off-putting to a general audience that doesn't see comics as a broad medium? Because they don't. They see superhero comics. That's all they know. They don't know about Sunstone over here. They don't know about horror comics like that Lock comic and whatnot. They don't know about spooky comics. They don't know about joke comics like Empowered and whatnot. They don't know. They know superheroes. I'm very curious how this is going to play out. I really am. I want to go see it. I'm curious, and I already know a couple people that told me they're not going to go see it. One guy who's a huge Batman fan, who when he first heard Clayface was going to be a thing, he was like, oh, Clayface movie, that's going to be sick. That's going to be really cool. Then he realized that it was going to be a horror movie, but he doesn't do spooky movies. So he's not going to this at all. He has zero interest in a body horror movie or a spooky movie on any level. He doesn't do them. He doesn't watch them. But now there's going to be this weird gap because he doesn't go see this, but then he's going to be expected to watch the Batman movie. And the Batman movie that does finally happen, eventually there will be a Clayface. It has to happen. Will that Clayface be off-putting because he never watched the Clayface movie, but they expected you to? But then because they expected you to, people coming off of a horror movie into a comic book movie will be lost. And people going from a comic book movie that want to backtrack and see the origin of Clayface will be put off. I don't know. I don't know how this plays out to the general audience. I know I'm going to go see it. I don't know how the general audience takes this. I really don't. I wonder if they just kick themselves in the tailbone with this. And no, I was just skipping around, to be fair. I hope how it goes is this Batman shows up, you only see his silhouette, and you see or hear him say, 9 people, 9 people in one day. Then it cuts to black, and they get ready to fight. And maybe you pick it up at the start of a Batman movie for a Batman, and it starts with him. But then, like, that doesn't, I don't know, is that earned? Like, because then we start the movie on a high note, basically the climax of the movie that we didn't get to see the climax of the movie. And then you've still got to follow that up with an entire movie with him dealing with a different supervillain that isn't Clayface or something like that? Or do we just never see that confrontation? But then would you feel cheated? It'd be like if a comic book ended where he was going to confront the bad guy, but then he's just like, that's it. I know where he is. I'm going to go take him down. But then the next book is just him doing something else because he already arrested that guy off screen. Like, I don't know how this plays to the general public. I am really wondering. It might be a Terminator Alien type of thing where the first movie is considered a horror and the second is considered action. Possible. Dynamite Hack and Slash comics. It's the same thing if you haven't watched Creature Commando or Peacemaker. It'll be interesting how this turns out, but those are the gambles of doing solo villain movies. It's why Venom without Spider-Man didn't work. But it did work. I mean, it didn't for me. But, like, those movies produced 3 movies. Like, people were going to those Venom movies. And they were excited. They were like, oh, man, I freaking love Venom, man. Venom's, like, my favorite bad guy and blah, blah, blah. Dude, I love Venom. I love what they're doing with the Venom movies. And I'm like, he's not Venom. I'm sorry. Say what you want. Hold me to whatever standard. Tell me I need to get off my old man crap, and maybe I do. But he's not Venom. You cannot make Venom Venom if there was no Spider-Man. The two don't happen that way. You can't do it. That We Are Tom Hardy is 100%. That's not Venom. The story blatantly indicates, since Venom's inception and every reboot and retcon since, that the symbiote bonds with Spider-Man, learns of Peter Parker, enhances his life, ruins his life, by Parker's point of view, abandons the symbiote hates him for that, it bonds with Brock, whom's life has just been ruined by Spider-Man from his point of view. Then Eddie learns about Peter because of the symbiote. They both hate both of these men because for the longest time, Eddie didn't know. The symbiote did know about the two, but Spider-Man and Parker were viewed as 2 different entities. Now they're viewed as one, combining 2 levels of hatred, abandonment, and life ruining, and they become a venom to Parker's life, a poison, a venom. Unless you do a Venom movie and he's Venom because because Venom. That's all I got. I don't have a reason for him to be Venom. Why does he take that name? Why does it matter? Why would it call itself that? Why would it care? Why would Eddie care? What the name has a purpose until it doesn't. Why does the symbiote look like that? Because originally it looked like that because it was still creating the image of what it felt abandoned him. The symbiote was connected to Spider-Man in a way that when it was pulled off, it had a reaction. It loved Parker. It loved Spider-Man. It felt abandoned and betrayed. Brock hates Spider-Man because Spider-Man ruined his life. When they bond, those two different emotions, those two different psychiatric equations came together to form what it would look like. It took that look as part of the indication that it was a poison to Parker's life. He looks like that in the movie because he looked that way in the comics. I did not watch any of those movies. My opinions are based on exactly that thought process I just gave you. So, every time somebody said, you want to watch that Venom movie? I was like, I have no interest. Is that closed-minded? Yes. Am I aware of that? Very much so. I'm also not ashamed of it. My mind processes the information and goes, what? Why? How? Where? Who's the spider? What? And then it just immediately goes, I don't even care right now. And then I go watch something else. I have never seen any of those 3 movies. Maybe they're great. But I can't help but feel like I would be watching it the whole time going, but then what? How? Would it? I would have a lot of trouble separating my mind to go, well, this is just its own thing. Normally I can do that. But in this case, it would be really, really difficult to do. Like, I know it would be difficult to do. My mind would not want to do it. They screwed up Venom's story, but they were fun movies. Just like they screwed up Spawn, but it's a fun movie. Now, I have the benefit of only probably reading about 10 Spawn books ever, and then watching a Spawn anime or animated movie. I'm calling it an anime. You know what I watched. The HBO animation. So, like, when I saw the movie, it didn't feel wrong. It just kind of felt like Spawn. But I was not approaching it from the same level that I would approach this Venom movie. So I get it. Like, I like that Spawn movie, but I don't have a backing that would make me go, what? I'll be 60 years old by the time we get that new Spawn movie. I give the Spawn suit a Genesis because there's only one. Look, man, you could say what you want about that Spawn movie, but the makeup was on point. The costume was on point. The overall design and look, and we can laugh at that. Look, we can laugh at that CGI today. But if you'd have seen it back then, that cape, that noise, like his face, the way the eyes glowed, it all looked really, really cool. The transformation to the Violator and whatnot, Johnny Legs in that makeup, holy crap, that's good. That's so good. It's so good. I love that movie. Like, unironically, I have a lot of fun with that movie. Even though I know that in my heart of hearts, I know that overall it's not a good movie. That's because guys named Todd can't seem to actually make new stuff, Shogo. Look at Bethesda. To talk about Superman, wouldn't Supergirl know what the message said? Maybe. But you also get the indication that she's drowning her sorrows and that she feels like by the time that she made it to Earth and saw Superman and saw what he chose to do and saw the person that he decided to become, she also wasn't going to take that away from him. Because, look, we've had Superman comics where Superman's parents are not good people. We have had that happen in the comics multiple times. That's not new. It's very possible that the message is 100% authentic. Not edited, not changed, authentic. Now they can walk that back at any time they want, or they can play it through and keep the messaging that the first movie gave us intact. And that's the idea that in the end, your parents prepare you for the world. You're the one that has to step into it and choose to be the person that you are going to be. You choose to be a crappy person or a good person. The things you do matter more. It's nice. I like the idea, and the first movie really holds it together. So, like, I almost want that message to be exactly what it says. And we have had times in the past where Superman's dad is exactly what that is. He's a prick. And also, let us be honest about a society that built up and became as advanced and powerful as it was, only to then literally argue with each other until their planet blew up. Unless we're going with the stupid story where there was a guy that actually blew the planet up and yada yada. I don't know which story we're going with. I don't know how far in the comics we want to go. But if we're going with the main original black and white storyline here, an advanced race of civilized beings said, this planet's going to blow up. No, it ain't. No, it's really going to happen. Nope. Well, look, I say it's gonna. I have all this information. I have scientific proof this is going to happen. Nope. No. I saw a guy on YouTube that was talking about this. He said no. That's where we are right now, by the way. I was watching a TikTok, and this guy was talking about the planet, and it's not breaking up, and it's not going to explode. This is just fear-mongering propaganda. The science is a lie. And then they all just stood around, and then when one of them was finally like, hey, look, I believe it's going to blow up, so I'm going to leave. And they were like, no, you're a member of the council and blah, 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 and representative, and if you leave, we will basically shoot you down because you're not going to cause a panic like that. And so then he was like, all right, fine, I promise that we will not leave. And then he sent his kid. And then his brother was looking at the situation, and he was like, you know, I don't like this, but my brother is never wrong. This planet's probably going to blow up. Maybe we need to get our kid off the planet too. And then you can also argue that, you know, the Brainiac situation happens and that's why they sent her, and then she was supposed to go take care of him, but then the wormhole or whatever, and then time passed different for her than it did for him. Then by the time she showed up, he was 33 instead of a baby. Because of all the retcons and all the things that have changed over the years, you can play this however you want. And you can reference comic books and cartoons and movies and play whatever logic. But that's basically what happened. A society of people like that, maybe that message was 100% true in the Superman movie. Maybe that Superman movie, that message is not altered. It's exactly what it was supposed to say. Hey, we want to continue being what we are. Go make us over there. Like, our genes are superior. We found a group that you could breed into. Basically go be their leader, take over the planet. It won't really be a problem for you. It shouldn't be an issue. We've already kind of looked it over. We know they're primitive. We know that they can act as breeding stock for us and blah, blah, blah. It's a nasty way to think about it, but, I mean, the Kryptonians aren't necessarily known as a society in most continuities that I know of that would not be impossible to make the argument that they were bad people. I don't know. The two Todds. Todd Howard can only post apocalyptic Elder Scrolls and Elder Scrolls in space, and Todd McFarlane is taking forever with the King Spawn script, though Todd M makes banger figures. Let's see, could that have been Zod? No, it's definitely his dad. Finally getting Christopher Walken Brainiac. Is that really a thing? Brainiac with Christopher Walken's voice and acting would have been something. Make no mistake, Superman gonna turn Metropolis into gravy. Brainiac in the cartoon told people of Krypton, everything is fine, the planet is fine, and then Brainiac said, I'm out, I lied, interdimensional. Yeah, but then that still means that they did exactly what I said. They like listened to some AI on a TikTok and said, yeah, the planet's not blowing up, that's dab, 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 dab. While all the information was scientifically in front of them. While one of the leading scientists of their entire planet was like, this shit's going to blow up, and I'm so positive it's going to blow up, I've already made an escape shuttle. Because I'm telling you, it's happening. And they're like, no, because our AI computer system did some research on YouTube, and they posted on Facebook that you deserve to blow up. You deserve to blow up. I'm sorry. You made your choice. I am starting to go hoarse. I knew I had a cold before I came in here, but I was hoping that I would run through the whole thing. So let's do this. Superman Returns. There are things I loved about this movie. When this came out, I remember the previews. And I remember being like, this is going to be so good. We haven't seen Superman in so long. It's going to be so good. And I was thrilled. I can't remember ever being that excited about a movie at that time. Like, I mean, one could argue the Spider-Man movie, I saw it like 17 times in theaters. But like, this really did. Like, I thought for sure this was going to be the birth of a massive DC universe. Ran out to the movies and seen it. I saw him save the plane. I saw him act like Clark. I saw him be Superman. I saw him give a statistic. I saw him save the most important situations and the most unimportant situations. Just out there being Superman. I seen him talk to Lois seriously after coming back. Floating into the sky, using his super hearing, and saying something that was just remarkable. I know you said that humanity doesn't need a savior. But hearing everything up here, I hear people every minute of every day that are asking for one. And he knows he can't save everyone, but he can do everything he can do every day he can do it. The way he would fly up into space, tune out everything, and listen to the Earth. This scene right here is so cool. That is so cool. He's listening, and then something catches his attention. Something that's real big. This isn't like, oh man, help. Oh, this sucks. Oh, help us, yada yada. Where he knows that like there's plenty of humans that will handle human stuff. He has to let the cops, ambulances, and things of that nature do their job as well. And then he flies down because something real is happening. And that guy's got that like Gatling gun thing, and he turns it around and and he gets down there right in time at the exact, like he had a literal bullet time to save the guards from getting hit. Then he just walks, and it's bouncing off of him. He gets up there, and that guy, I get the thought process. He steps off, and he's like, man, I ain't scared of this super shit. And he takes his gun, and he points it at his eye, and he thinks, yeah, I think the suit is indestructible. Now, who knows? It's an alien tech. Maybe the way his mind was processing it all right, I don't know what this Superman is, because also you got to understand he's been gone for a couple of years, so there's probably people that seen him as a rumor more than anything else and never really understood the extent of how not exaggerated the stories really were. And so he figures it's the suit. He walks up, he aims his gun, he puts it point blank, he fires off a shot in what should be the weakest part of that man's body. His freaking eye jelly. And the bullet crumbles on the eye jelly, and then it falls down. At that moment, when Superman is kind of looking down for a second, and then he looks up with that smirk, and the dude that just watched the bullet fall has to look up like, oh crap. Like, you know what's running through his head. Like, we don't see that guy get arrested or anything like that. We don't see Superman lay the law down or flick him or punch him or just grab him and be like, come on. Like, as far as I know, that guy probably dropped his gun and was like, let's go to jail then. Like, because what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Jump off the building? He'll never make it. Fisticuffs? Yeah, right. He's done. After you shoot the eye jelly and nothing happens, you're done. Saving the plane is one of the most brilliant superhero moments ever put on camera. I'm not exaggerating. I'm serious. Take all these different superhero moments. Stopping the train, trying to hold the boat together, different things like that. We're talking superhero moments, not fights. Super stuff. Save a thing. Stop a bridge from falling down. That kind of stuff. Superhero stuff. Saving that plane. Holy crap. In the top 10. Stop following me. Top 10. It's beautiful. When he saves the boat, like when he lands on the boat that's currently sinking, and they're in the boat and they know they're dead. There's no way they can get out. They're all about to drown, and they've literally gone under the water, and they see the dark coming around them, and they know they've got that moment of panic where they know they can't open the door, they can't get out, they're going to drown in here with their son. That's horrifying. There's such a moment of real terrifying in that moment, and then those boots land, and then he picks the boat back up out of the water. Oh, that is Superman stuff, man. When he flies and sees that, like, Luthor has stolen the crystal technology and is literally building this thing out in the sea, and he knows what that is, but he doesn't know what it is. He hasn't really taken a moment to think about it. And he lands on it, kadoom! Dude, that landing, that hard landing, bam, and he cracks the kryptonite rock. There's something so cool about that, too. This isn't 100% kryptonite. It doesn't affect him in the exact same way. It's a new form of crystal rock kryptonite grown and mixed with other materials. So the radiation seems to affect him at a slower rate, which means that he had powers going in and then was losing them. But his irritation at this moment, at seeing Lex, at seeing what he's done, at seeing what he's created, has blinded even Superman. Where Superman is not yet realizing that he is being affected, and they're sitting there talking, and then that bead of sweat comes down, and Superman does not sweat. Even to that extent, I'm surprised at that moment you would argue he didn't notice it. How did he not notice it? I don't care. I like the shot for what it is. When all of a sudden Luthor's looking him in the face and he sees that one bead of sweat and he knows, I've got him, it worked. And then he punches Superman. And Superman, for the second time in his life, feels a punch that hurt him. Like, it hurt him. Then he gets beat down. Then they stab him break that part off in his body cavity and throw him into the water. When I was a kid, thinking about Superman and going back to like how I felt about Superman, like that is heartbreaking, that moment. And then he falls into the water and then he gets saved by Lois, which is very cool as well. I love the turnaround. He's in trouble now. He's in trouble now. They have to go back. And they have to take a real chance that they will die to go back to save a man that should not need saving. But, for as invincible as he is, he makes human mistakes. And he made one. He rushed into a situation without thinking. And why not? He's Superman. Did you not see all the other stuff he did through the whole movie? What's he got to worry about? What's Lex gonna do? Really? And even if you make the argument, well, he's dealt with Lex before, he knows that Lex might have kryptonite. Yeah, but he would also feel the effects of it quickly, and he didn't. So flying into this giant rock structure, he never once considered the idea that it was made from kryptonite. That's kind of awesome. A lot of the stuff in this movie actually works. I'm explaining all the cool stuff. And I'm dodging the stuff that was awful. And you could make the argument that if you've never seen this movie, you might hear me saying all this stuff and go, I kind of want to see this movie. And I would argue if you've never seen it, it is worth at least a watch. All of these things I'm talking about, if you appreciate the moments for what they are, they're solid, really cool Superman moments. Even the Lex Luthor moment, aside from who he's being played by, we're not discussing that right now. Even the Lex Luthor moment, where he's so proud of himself, he's got his little thing, and he knows that he's got this good idea, and it's all played out, and he's going to have alien technology and all this other stuff, and he just can't wait to hear that Superman is going to stop you thing, and he screams in her face, wrong! That's even a good Lex moment. It's a good Lex moment for him once again to surround himself with idiots and whatnot, but like useful idiots, people that have skill sets that he can make use of, like Muscle, dangerous people in general, engineers and things of that level that he can use in the situation that he's trying to do. I like a lot of that. I like Lois being more interested in the power out that causes the plane to go down instead of the fact that Superman saved a plane. To her, of course he did. He's Superman. But why did he have to do that in the first place? That is credit to Lois. That's a good Lois moment. Why is nobody talking about this? Nobody cares about that right now. Power outs happen all the time. Superman's happening today. Let's get these ratings. Let's get these ratings. Talk about that Superman. Sell me a newspaper. That ain't what Lois is about. Lois is about that. Something's weird over here. Nobody's talking about this. I'm going to go talk about that. I like that. I like a lot of things about this movie. Did I say this was a good movie? I didn't. I don't like that this is definitely post-Super Kiss. That she doesn't know who he is. I don't like that he has an illegitimate son that he abandoned for years. I mean, I guess he didn't know that the son was a thing. But then at the same time, she didn't either because he like memory wiped her. And then she must have met this dude and got very involved with this dude easily within a month or so of Superman having left. Because like she never even questions the idea that this kid is not his kid. And then that's not his kid. That's gotta be, it's gotta be, oh man, that's earth-shattering. And the movie just expects that we're just supposed to do this to this guy, and nobody gives a crap about this guy. We're all supposed to be invested in Superman, and that's his kid. That's his and Lois's kid. Excuse me, that's a problem. Like a big problem. I don't like that Superman has an illegitimate, weird memory baby that like showed up that is now tied to another guy that he's like kind of looking in on from time to time, but it's not really his kid, so he's not stepping in, and he's not going to like be with Lois. Or is he going to be with Lois? Are we going to do like at that point, if these movies continue, do we have to do like a weird thing where we have to like take this guy that is a good man, that has been very good to Lois and very good to that kid, because as far as he is concerned, that is his kid, and as far as he knows, that is his kid, but it's not his kid, and we have to reveal, drop this guy on his head, pull his whole life apart and go, excuse me, that's not your kid, and she is having an affair with Superman, and you are no longer going to be married, and goodbye, and like, I mean, I know they're not married. I understand she hates that question or whatever. But, like, just because they're not married doesn't mean that's not a very serious relationship where Lois has a kid. Or does she know that that's not his kid? Which brings up all kinds of questions. Like, whose kid does she think it is? And then later on, when she realizes it is Superman's kid, why doesn't she have a problem with that? Kevin Spacey is Lex Luthor. I'm not going to elaborate on that further. Kevin Spacey is Lex Luthor. Do with that what you're going to do with that. Lex Luthor's plan, Lex Luthor avoided prison. Or rather, he went to prison, but he got out on some sort of lesser charge, which is very confusing to me. Lex Luthor hijacked 2 nuclear weapons, basically, fired them on American soil, made connection with American soil in one location, nearly caused the deaths, and probably did cause the deaths, of hundreds of people, minimum, because Superman can only save the people he can save. Somehow a technicality got him out of jail because like Superman doesn't show up or something like that. Like, I don't necessarily love that. I don't know how that works. I would have much rather seen him subvert the system in a brilliant way, or be let out because there was a situation that took place while Superman was gone and Lex technically saves the planet. And it would have been cooler to see him as a businessman back in Business Empire, earning all this stuff because something went on while Superman was gone, and maybe Lex took down a supervillain because they needed help and they didn't know how to deal with something that has shown up, and he got rid of it. And now he's very important, and he could even, let's say, be so charismatically forgiven for his past sins that he might even be able to run for president someday. That makes more sense to me, supervillain-wise, than he was pen pals with an old lady and then convinced her to leave him her fortune. And I don't love that. I don't love that they cut the start of the movie out so we never got the gray suit or seen the weird Superman ship. I don't necessarily love that we don't spend very much time on the farm, like bringing Superman back into the world. I don't necessarily love that the explanation for, I don't know, I'm half and half with Clark. I like that he gets his job back, and he's like, hey, thanks for giving me my job back. And Perry is basically, no, thank this dude for dying. That's very much like a Perry thing. Like, look, man, I wasn't just going to, you're not my friend. I wasn't just going to give you your job. It just so happened that this situation took place, and I remember that you used to work here. Like, that's it. That's it. I kind of like that. But I also don't necessarily love how abruptly easy it was for him to come back into the life and have everybody. And then like he was basically like, hey, I did some soul searching for like 5 years or whatever. I really don't like that kid thing. I don't like that he creepily floats outside the Lois home and like x-rays the home and like super listens into their private conversations and stuff. Superman, you don't know what point of the night it is that they do stuff. You're not supposed to be in their like private, intimate, like home stuff. You're not supposed to float peeping Superman. I don't want that Superman in my life. I don't like that part of the movie. I don't care how much exposition they were giving me. If nothing else, that scene just should have been done without Superman so that we were in on it, but Superman didn't know yet. Like, I don't want creepy stalker peeping Superman. I don't want that in my Superman movie. I have no use for that. I do like that Lex got himself another girl that's like super attractive ditzy, and that she even like, but this time, like, I like that she's kind of snarky, and she even kind of calls him out on his own BS, and she's not like a super bad person. Like, there's even that part where she realizes just what this is all come down to, and she watches him stab Superman. She watches all this situation. She's been saved by Superman. She's realizing what kind of monster Lex really is, and she dumps the crystals out. I love that. I love that. I kind of love how Lex goes to the fortress, and then like we get the explanation that this is an AI. Like, it's not like the soul of his father in a gym or whatever. It is very much an AI system, and they play that. They kind of update the idea of it, and they make it very much work, where the thing comes on and starts saying, "My son, you do not know me." And it's an AI system. It just starts repeating the same thing. And then it's like, "Ask me your questions." And Lex, being Lex, is like, "Tell me everything." That is Lex Luthor. This movie is tough for me. I don't like that Superman doesn't fight a supervillain. I don't like that Superman lifts a giant kryptonite mountain. I mean, I guess I like that, but I don't. I feel like something else should have been there. But then again, that is a super feat, and it is kind of crazy cool. I do like that he falls to Earth, and then like the humans try desperately to save the man that has done so much for them, but they can't really do anything for him, you know what I mean? But then I don't like that they follow that up with like the police and everybody just like let Lois in to see him while nobody else has been allowed to see him. Why? Because she did a news article years ago? So what? How many people have been on the internet doing Superman blogs about how he saved them or got a cat out of a tree, or how they think that he's like the best thing that's ever, and he's such a big deal, and they defend him online? How come those people aren't in there like seeing Superman? Are they letting one person in at a time? Like, what is the end of the movie? How does that happen? This movie is tough for me. And I think a lot of it comes down to him. Brandon, I'm not kidding, had the potential to be another decade Superman. Chris got 4 movies. And you can say whatever you want about those movies, but Chris was a good Superman in all of them. All of them. Then, the next decade Superman that I would reference, that was good, would probably be Smallville. I think that Tom Welling does a very good job. I really do. I think he is another legacy Superman. Though, he never got to be Superman. So you could hold that to whatever standard you want. And I would not argue with you if you said he was a bad Superman, but probably the most developed Clark we ever had. And that the series wasted all the Superman stuff on Clark, so there's nothing really left for Superman to do. I wouldn't argue that point with you. But I would still call him one of the icon Superman. And I have very high hopes for this new Superman. But I honestly believe that with the right movie, or a second movie, yes, your first movie did not pan out the way you wanted. Learn from it, take everything that worked, and move on to a second film and give it one more shot. This guy could have been a 5-movie series, and we would be looking at him as a generational Superman today. There is no doubt in my mind this is true. In fact, it is almost verified when he shows up later on and gets a chance to reprise his role as Superman in a television series where he stole every single scene he was in. His look is fantastic. His demeanor is fantastic. That suit is amazing. He is one of the best ever Supermen, period. He is Superman. Now, before we move on and see him, I want to put something down here, because I have made arguments before, and I want to make sure that in something where we just talked a whole lot of Superman, I want to give somebody credit. That I've said this a couple times, but I think it gets lost. Henry Cavill had the potential to be a very, very solid Superman. I honestly believe that. There are moments when it shines through. When I'm looking at him and I say, I see it. I see it, that's him. However, what keeps Henry out of my generational list, like if I was to name 4 Supermen that I think you need to pay attention, these are generational Superman. It is inconsistent. That's my problem. I think Cavill, because of the universe they put him in, too often gets bled into situations that are not handled in Superman ways. To me. And I think that too often he's sad or brooding or or it's taking it or the movie's taking itself very, very seriously, or we're like doing dumb stuff like he's not saving his dad, or his dad tells him, oh, maybe you should just let a whole bus of children die. Maybe they just have all drowned. I don't know what's best for you, boy, but like, if my boatload of children, if my bus of children had fallen in the lake, maybe I just would have let them die. I mean, he says that. You can tag that back all that you want, but he says that. There are some real dad moments in that Superman's development that feel horrifying to me. I could never say something like that to my kid and expect that they would grow up right. And I get that there's an innate fear of if Superman is discovered and would the government come and retrieve him and all of this other stuff, but like, oh my God. Superman's parents are supposed to be the keystone that builds his personality, that puts him forward to be the person that he will become. Superman is shaped by his interactions with his parents. And those interactions, you don't owe the world anything. Hide yourself away. Let them kids die. Who are these people? I think one of my biggest problems with that Superman, with Henry, is his upbringing feels weird to me. It doesn't feel like those people make that Superman. And then when Superman is being Superman, he keeps somehow bleeding into this super serious downer Superman over and over and over and over and over. And I get that that's the universe they were playing him in. So I don't blame Henry. I actually like Henry Cavill a lot. I like him as a person. I like the Superman that he was playing. I like the possibility of where he could have went with that Superman if they had lightened the movies earlier. But the majority of that Superman feels very downer, serious, and just doesn't feel right to me. But he never felt like that. And maybe it's the attitude of the universe that they were put in. Because if you're going to ask me, hey, I want to get into Superman, who should I watch? Cavill's not on my list. He's not the guy I'm going to tell you, oh, if you want to see a Superman, if you want to know why Superman is Superman, if you want to feel Superman, if you want to go in and see it and get it right from the get-go, get what Superman is, I'm not going to tell you to watch Man of Steel with those terrible parents and that messed up situation, like the downer dark universe where the sun never comes completely out. Like I'm not going to do it. I feel a certain way about it. And you could bring that down on me as some old man nostalgia crap. And as I've said before, I wouldn't argue with you. But at least after this, if you do disagree with me, you know where I'm coming from and why. Because that's my thought process. And you can disagree with it. But I don't know what you would have to do or if you could change my mind this far in. This is how I feel. This is why I feel that way. I want to see him. But I got to get something off the shelf so that we can see him and we can see something else. So let's open him. Okay, well, first off, Superman does not come with a flight stand. McFarlane, what are you doing? Like, I know you have the stands, McFarlane. I know you can pack them in to even these boxes, McFarlane. We know you could do it. We know you should do it. If the character flies, I don't care if you have to add $3 to the price of the figure. Flight stand. 2, right off the bat, because we're going to name things that I see instantaneously that I don't like. 1, should have had a flight stand. We know that's part of your line. We know you can do it. We're going to complain about it. 2, this is the image you chose to represent this Superman. This image right here. See this? This is the image. Flyy, floaty, cape in space, looking down on the earth, open hands, image. This right here. He only came with these hands, and there is no wire in the cape. And if we were to add a wire, okay, we're going to argue that the cape might be big enough that we could probably do that. Now, I can add a wire and I could do this myself. So maybe this cape is wide enough and maybe we could get away with it. And I think I could add that wire myself. I've done it for one of the Batmans and it didn't turn out bad. I don't like to do it because quite frankly, I shouldn't have to do it. You should have already done it. So let's point those issues out. We don't like that. He should have had a wire in the cape, especially since you already did the cape to have the wire. This isn't like it's just a flat cape. This has the seams already built for the wire and even left the hole right there for the wire. And there's no wire. It feels like you didn't finish the job you started. Okay? Just put that out there. Okay? No flight stand, no wire, 2 problems. So, now, let's get down to what we're looking at. He's got the darker color, which, if I remember right in my mind's eye, is correct. The cape I remember being kind of a maroonish kind of color. That works for me. I remember that, so it feels right. This is a flat suit, which harkens back to who he's playing, because he's playing Christopher Superman. We know that. But the suit did have texture, and we don't have it on this figure. So is it perfect? No. Am I the kind of person that really cares that much about it? Depending on the situation. At this price point, I don't care that much. But it is something to point out. The S is smaller, but I think this S, is this S bigger than the S that we got in the movie? Because if you remember right, the movie, the S is small. Like it feels tiny compared to the other S's that we've got. This feels like it might be right. Because the S is definitely smaller than the S's that we've seen on the other Superman figures. So even if it's not movie accurate, it might be figure accurate if you're going to compare him to the rest of the line. So that might work. That might very well be a plus in his favor. I've always liked this belt with the little S. It doesn't serve a purpose, but I've always liked it and I've always thought it was neat. I like that it's here. That works for me. The boots have that weird tread on them, which was accurate, and I need to see. I didn't expect that. I expected a reuse on the boots, I'll be perfectly honest, and I did not expect them to have the S's. But if you'll remember right, the back of the boots on Superman in this movie, he had those S's. They're here. I didn't expect to see them. So that's good. Now, does this look like Brandon? Brandon looks up. Brandon looks down. Not too much, but I don't need a super broody Superman, so that's okay. It is a McFarlane face, that is for sure. There's always a little bit of caricature design, almost as if he's animated the person. But I can look at him from straight on. This angle I can see it. From below I can see it. At the price point that we are paying for these figures, that's Brandon. I would argue that that's a better face than the figures that came out that were supposed to be Brandon when that movie came out. I think that is Brandon. Looking at it from different angles, I think it works. I think that's Brandon. I don't think, in my mind's eye, my mind is filling in the gaps enough to go, that's him. That's Brandon. That feels right. Otherwise, the Superman body and everything that they've used works. It's a very real body in terms of, like, He's not comic book big, is what I'm saying. He looks like he looks like he should. Like when they did the Christopher Reeve figure, that was another thing that I really liked. They chose not to put him on the super buff body because that wouldn't make sense because he doesn't look like that. He looked like a person. Looks like a person. I'm okay with this body. I think they chose the right one. I think all of this works. I don't like that his cape is flip wiki wickegurkin all over the place, but like, I can fix that. I shouldn't have to fix that, but I can fix that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this Superman just had a red cape, right? He didn't have that yellow S, right? If he did, it was a tiny yellow S. And if he did, and my mind is not processing whether or not that was the thing, I feel like it wasn't. And I feel like it came down to the CGI of the time. They knew they were going to have to CGI a lot of flying scenes. So I think they chose to leave the S off because it made, when he was like in space, the cape floating around, it was an easier effect. And I think sometimes decisions like that are made when they're like building stuff like that. I really think that's important. I really do. I feel like I remember them leaving the S off. Am I remembering it wrong? Because somewhere in my mind, I go, there should be an S on the back of his cape. I mean, he's playing Christopher, and Christopher had the S, so he should have the S. But then my mind goes, well, I don't remember seeing an S in that movie. And if I did, it was like a tiny yellow S, or maybe it wasn't there at all. Maybe it wasn't there at all. I would have preferred a tiny little S, but maybe this is right that it's not there, because I keep remembering that CGI scene where he's standing over the Earth, and I don't remember the S. So my mind, this feels right, and it feels like there's something missing. I don't know how to feel about that, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. That's good. I like this. So now, I'm curious. Is there a very simple thing that we can do? A very simple kit bash. Can I buy another one of these and swap that head on here and make this the Superman from the what was it, Legends of Tomorrow series or whatever, when he came back to play this Superman? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Because this is pretty much it. It's this with Brandon's face. But I'm curious, is Brandon's face going to be too slim and will look weird on this bigger body? Will this work? Ugh. Okay. Well, that was way easier than the other one. So look, this is what it would look like. One could argue this is awkward. His head does seem a little small. I don't think it's terrible. I think that you could probably make do. Come on, focus on Superman. The skin tones seem to match up. His head does seem a little small, but maybe you would get used to it, or maybe it wouldn't hurt from the right angles or whatever. Because like I just put his head down a little bit and like looking up at him, it doesn't seem to look like it's that big of a deal. Like if you're looking at the proper angle, I don't know if this works. I feel like you would get used to it and it would not bother you. But I don't know. Because this Superman is built for like a thicker neck Superman. Put your head on. There. Holy crap, Superman. I'm sitting here straining. Like I shouldn't have to strain that hard to put your head on, sir. But okay. Otherwise, this. There. I mean, he has a smaller body. So the smaller head That's what's going on here. And it doesn't seem, like here it's fine, of course. I don't know if you would just get used to this. Maybe I can look around and see, because I don't think this design has been done on a smaller body. But we're also not going to get a bigger Brandon head. So you're either going to have to deal with it, because he is going to have a bigger barrel chest. You're either going to have to deal with it, or you're not going to be able to do it without like a lot of work. Because one could argue that you could use the 1940s body, but the S is wrong. So you would have to put the S on yourself. And you could wipe that and paint a new S. That's not a terrible custom. It would be a little difficult for anybody that doesn't know how to do it. Like, it's because you're going to have steady hands to actually paint it on there. If you choose not to paint it and you use like a logo, like a sticker type of thing or something like that, you know what I'm talking about? You can get away with that. I don't know. Because that was my thought process, was should I buy a second one of him, swap the Brandon head, and then have Brandon when he came back, and would it work? I don't know. Then one could argue, with the way that they're putting stuff out, as fast as they put stuff out, would they do it? Would they release basically this body with this paint scheme and put the brand? I don't know. I showed you what it looked like, and I told you what I was thinking. I don't know if I'm going to do that. It looks a little weird to me. It looks like his head is too small, like it doesn't fit that body. And I don't know if I would get used to that. That's a big chapter. Had to talk a lot about Superman for this part. But Superman added to the shelf. Cryptube. Eye jelly shot. I remember that scene. Epic movie parodied that scene too. But in that one, the bullet just slides into his eye. Then he stumbles back and falls off the building. When I saw the making of the Superman Returns suit, it had too many S on the suit. On the boots, mini ones, all over the suit. It only needs about 2. Yes, that is very much a thing. He has it on the boots. He has it here. He has it. I do like it on the belt buckle. I don't hate it on the boots, but they are there, so like it's part of it. But yes, they wanted to put that S. And then he had like a honeycomb all over the suit too. Like the whole suit is like honeycombed. He shoots the eye jelly, pees his pants, then tries to run. That's his only other option. Seth, bring me my brown pants. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, what's going on, man? It's because Zordon taught Superman. That's why he's being pervy Superman. I don't care. I like Henry Cavill. Fine. I don't see any reason that you shouldn't like him for what it's worth. I like Man of Steel, but that tornado scene was stupid. Dude, it is. It's so... I was like, what? You can't find another way to kill the dad? Like, it's got to be this level of over-dramatic, and it's got to be this level of stupid? I was kind of out of it when Superman started snapping necks. Tyler Hoechlin was a great Superman too. Yes, he was in the Superman series, and he wears that fantastic recreation of the Fletcher costume, like the classic. Oh, it's so beautiful. If that's who I'm thinking you're talking about, yes. I think Zod should have been sent back to the Phantom Zone like the others. Tyler grew on me. His suit on Supergirl, I felt was bad. Oh, then Tyler is who I'm thinking of. Yeah. Okay, Superman Returns without a flight stand. Right, what are we doing? Henry Cavill was good, but in the wrong universe. I still don't find the Snyder universe to be that great. I liked Ben Affleck's Batman. I have my issues with it, and that's where I'll leave it. Right. Remember, like I told you, he just pushing out product because the line is ending. He doesn't care about us fans like that. Fair. But I'll also say that here at the end of the line, I feel like I've bought more McFarlane than I have ever, which is kind of wild. While Cavill may not be the Superman you recommend, Megan Fox will always be the third best April O'Neil behind the first movie and the adult actress. Wow. I had some of those old Superman Return toys back then. The only figure that closely resembles Brandon was the 12-inch talking Superman that I have. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, the big. Yeah, I have a Wonder Woman that's built in the same style as him. Okay, so it looks like the Gold Hilder figure is a QC. What? The one that I got, was something wrong with it? Is that what you're talking about? Or did you have a problem with your gold? Because I didn't feel like anything was missing or wrong when I opened mine. I'm not seeing anything wrong with her. That makes me wonder what you mean. Oh, and also, thank you. Like, that's never necessary, but thank you very much. I am very curious about this, though. Did you discover something or see something? Because I don't know what that means. I'd hate to think that, like, something is wrong with it. Let me fix this. Well, you haven't said anything yet. So it looks like the Gold Hilder figure is a QC. Heard about a Darkseid and Orion 2-pack, maybe. I wonder what Darkseid, because I still haven't seen them release even one that I like. Like, this line has released a couple of them, and either they look goofy to me or they look movie to me. Like, and I haven't cared for either of them. I don't know. Would I have liked that Darkseid? Because wasn't there a Build-A-Darkseid or whatever from the video game packs? But I don't want those video game. I don't want, like, the video game mullet Superman, and I don't want the video game Flash. And, like, they didn't even release a video game Wonder Woman. I probably would have bought that and then just tried to customize her or something like that. I'm going to complain about that Wonder Woman until I get something. I've heard that there's a Wonder Woman coming. And I saw the fact that they released that Shazam, and he's a repaint. He's just a repaint of the one that we already got, which is a very good Shazam, by the way. I have that Shazam. I bought Captain Thunder. To be fair, I did not buy the Shazam. I had the choice between the two. They were both on the racks. And I was like, the Captain Thunder is such a cool talking point. I want that on the shelf. And even last night, literally, I had Shane over here, and he was like, what's going on with Shazam? Is that like when he was Captain Marvel? And I was like, oh no. And I got to talk about it. So, like, it's a really cool talking point that you can, like, have on your shelf or whatever. So I picked the Captain Thunder one, and I'm not gonna double up and have two of them in here. So I'm not gonna have a Shazam, but he's like not a favorite character or nothing. I like him for what he's worth, but like he's not like one that I need multiple times or whatever. Also, D Amazing got Secret Wars Daredevil early and Maximum Thor. Oh yeah, I think I set that to my watch later list. The Daredevil one, because I saw somebody post it and I was like, oh crap, already? I very much expect that to be like my Daredevil, like my absolute, like I don't need another one. It's going on the shelf. And I did! Just to put it out there, I bought that 2-pack. The Daredevil and Daredevil and Jessica Cruz. No, not Jessica. Now all of a sudden my mind won't work. I bought it. Yes, Jessica Jones. Yes. Yeah. I bought it. I don't know how I'm going to feel about her. I knew that Daredevil. It's in black. It's got the grimace face. It's going to be pretty cool. It'll stand up there next to the other Daredevil because like he's already up there. It'll be really cool. I'll have them. I don't mind that. Her, I don't know. I like her, and it looks like it's going to be a good figure in terms of her face sculpt and whatnot. I don't know how they're going to pull off the jeans. I don't know how that's about to work. I'll have to see how the legs work. And I'm curious. It looks like she's built on one of those old bodies again, so she doesn't move well in the torso and everything. However, none of the MCU really do. So I don't know. Maybe that's a whatever. But she does also come with a camera, which is kind of wild. Like, I kind of love that. And I'm probably going to give that to one of my Spider-Man down here. Like, because something about that I kind of like love. So even if I get her and she doesn't pan out to be perfect, I have the accessory and I have the Daredevil. And the Daredevil, the accessory, and her, as long as she's passable, that's a solid pack. I don't mind dropping on it. So, yeah. Do I think they'll do an MCU Bullseye? I don't see why they wouldn't. They're really going in on the Daredevil Born Again series. The Hilder figure has joint problems and the fur runs the wrong way from the clasps. She's also way too tan. I did notice that mine was tan. It didn't bother me. Like, I've got her right back there. I know you can't necessarily see. She's right there. But yes, she is pretty tan. It didn't really bug me too much, to be fair. There'll be other barbarians that are paler or whatever. And I didn't notice any problems when I was messing with her that I can remember. Did I have to, is that one that I had to stop and like go blow dry or whatever and like pop her out? Because I've had that happen with a couple of figures now where like the joints feel sealed. And I'm like, I'm not going to move this here while we're doing this. I'm not going to risk paying over $100 and then having the leg snap or something like that. But I don't feel like I've had any problems with mine necessarily. I do kind of know what you're talking about with the capes. But I thought that maybe that was just like the way they designed it. I didn't realize it was like wrong or whatever. Because I haven't had any problems with the capes. I've even used the capes on other characters. I've swapped them over to the Red Sonja for pictures and stuff like that and haven't had too much problem with them. Getting closer and closer to SDCC. Best time of the year in my opinion. Oh, but they're going to drop so much stuff. And then my bank account's going to scream at me and be like, dude, do you not even want to retire? And I'm going to be like, I'm going to be dead before that happens anyway. Calm down, bank. But I think that's it. We've opened only 3 figures, but with the amount of editing that I have to do lately, I don't think that it's going to matter because I'm so far behind. But I do got to mow and stuff like that. I have to go out into my backyard and friggin' kill myself. My backyard's a nightmare. It's basically one big giant hill, and I have one of the biggest yards in the entirety of my community because I live on the dead end and I live on the corner of the dead end, and my yard is vast and it's a giant hill and it's a pain to mow, and it takes like a full tank of gas to get through it, sometimes more than that. But you know, being an adult. Did you ever get the Epic Hacks Beast Tamer? No. No. That Epic Hacks, I got the Red Sonja. I've ordered the Bayleet, the Conan. I'm going to be ordering the Frankenstein. I want the other Conan that I know they're doing because I've seen them on the magazine. And I also want the Yag Kosha. And I think that's everything. So that's everything that I have ordered. Oh, I will. That's for sure. It's always a good time. But yeah, I gotta go. I gotta do stuff. It's already going on about 2. Well, Fire and Ice Tigre 2.0, I did buy that. I did put my money on that. I feel about stupid because I've already bought her twice. But Donahue specifically said that the version 2 has fixed the legs. That's what he said. I asked on one of his posts that is it a reuse completely or did they address the leg issue? And he said they have fixed the leg issue. My guess is that means she's now using the legs that were developed for Vampirella. That's my guess. Back up. Because Vampirella's knee joints work way better than Tigra's knee joints. So I did put in for the 2.0. We'll see how that runs. My wallet is already screaming, and most of the pre-orders haven't even dropped yet. Yes. So, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with me like always. I'll be back next Sunday, and of course, periodically through the week, I do have a couple of actual episodes that I'm looking to film, a couple of discussions in general, and I also have chapter after chapter after chapter we've still got to get done with. I also guess I didn't notice that. His feet, they're the actual bottom soles of the Superman. They're the S's. They're the S's. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for hanging out.